race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsport.
RACE22 Radio!
It's time for another edition of RACE22 Radio. In-depth coverage of all your favorite late model stock car racing action from all perspectives.
You want answers!
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
RACE22 Radio is hosted by Race22.com founder, Mr. Langley Austin.
Come here, I'm gonna eat you! I'm bigger than you, I'm higher in the food chain! Get in my belly! Come on!
RACE22 Radio is co-hosted by Performance Center Racing Warehouse President, Mr. Roger Johnson.
You just keep your foot on the gas and drive right by him on the outside.
You told me nobody goes to the outside on turn 4.
If you go to the outside, you can hold it.
With special co-host, Crazy Corey Latham. Sit back, buckle in, and hold on tight. RACE22 Radio is coming right at you at full throttle. And now your host, Mr. Langley Austin.
Guys, we're live here at Performance Center Racing Warehouse in Statesville, North Carolina. I'm your host, Langley Austin, and I've got Mr. Well, I don't know if I should call him Mr. or not. I don't know if he deserves all that, but I got Roger Johnson over here to my right.
I didn't say anything because I didn't know who you were talking about yet.
Well, I mean, since Corey's not over there in his seat, that's we rename him No Show or something. I'm not really sure.
He's busy.
Yeah, busy. He must have got started drinking early tonight.
Oh, went right to the alcohol.
I mean, that's all I can figure.
I mean, he's busy.
Well, I mean, I guess. I don't know.
He's got a job.
Maybe he's running from Jason Myers. I'm not really sure. I mean, most people won't get that joke, but it's a good one. A lot going on in racing finally. We had the icebreaker, and now we're, had to wait another month to get another race in. Got Greenville in this past weekend, and man,
running.
It was a barn burner.
Yeah.
I mean, a great finish at the end. All the races all day were really good. Really impressed with the racing. Anthony, told us on the show last week that he wanted to, let the guys race and not penalize them, and they did that.
Yeah, he's done what he said before. I mean,
every time,
right? I don't know why he catches as much as he does, just for the simple fact of he says what he's going to do, he does it. Okay, let's go again. I mean, he, like you said, another great show. Well, I would have liked to see their late model deal a little stronger, not to pad the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
but you know what? And I thought, when I got there, and I think at the time I thought there was 3 late models and there was 5, which one of them run limited and late model. One guy run 2 different cars in there, but I don't count that like that. But, there was, they had 5 late models start the race, and I thought, man, this is going to be terrible. They're just going to ride around. Because, Greenville's a pretty big racetrack. I don't know if you know. You don't ever get to the racetrack, so you don't really know how big they are.
I knew it was coming.
Greg Marlowe stopped by here earlier and got me, me pepped up.
It went 3 minutes longer. I had the under, and I lost there. You won.
Oh, good. So, what did I win?
It's not going to be good.
But Greenville's a little bit bigger of a racetrack. And, being a half mile, 5 cars, that doesn't sound like a very good race.
Yeah, in the past it hasn't been.
It was a really good race. Neil Meredith started on the pole and led early, and then Taylor Satterfield took the lead, led until lap 29 when Meredith went to get the lead back, and they tangled into turn 1, and Satterfield came out on the wrong side of that deal, and Meredith was not penalized. As Anthony said, that they would not be unless it was intentional, and he went on to win the race, and Satterfield and Randy Porter had a great race, which good to see Randy Porter back in the car.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the, upstate South Carolina legends.
Yeah.
Great guy and great racer, and good to see him out there. I hope to see him a whole lot more.
Staple of the sport, that guy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's he's one of those guys who him and Marty Ward and guys like that down there have really made that area what it is for racing. So Myrtle Beach also raced this weekend. Doc will dive into that in the news here in just a few minutes. Talking about who won and all that. But they had a really stellar car count. I believe they had 26 there and 24 started, I think is what I've seen. So that's a pretty stellar car count.
I'm telling you, I think things are gonna. I think the car counts are gonna be up.
I think so.
It's the beginning of the year. The economy is pretty good. There's a lot of people that are making a lot of buzz. I would have liked to seen a little more publication of Greenville.
Yeah.
Just from an outsider perspective, I would have liked to seen a little more publication for it. But I was proud of what he drew. If you would have told me that he, at the end of last year, that this is the race he would have had here right now,
right,
I would have told you were a liar.
Yeah.
So, I think he did it. I
Yeah.
think you got to keep supporting him.
Yeah, and I think
and I applaud the people for going out and supporting him. You know what I mean?
I think the car count thing. I think some of it's early. The earliness. They got to know that they were going to race this year late.
Yep.
And then they had a race early.
No, that's what I mean.
And then the weather killed him because they had a few people try to come and test during the week, and it rained just about every day. They had them there after dark. I think a couple different times, and Friday practice got rained out, and I mean it just really was a terrible situation. And there was rain forecasted on Friday, which it did rain, and rain forecasted on Sunday, which it did rain. Saturday was perfect, but I don't think anybody actually expected it to be perfect given the weather pattern.
Sure. I just mean 2 months ago when they were talking about putting dirt on it. If you would have told me that they were going to have a late model stock or a limited race over there and have a good race and a decent car count, I would have said, okay, no way, it's not going to happen. So I applaud them. I think they did a great job.
And I know this sounds stupid to people that don't understand the business, but they didn't have to pay the $10,000 out, so he saved a little bit of money there by having 17 cars instead of the 25 that they needed to get to that. And the crowd was really good. It was the best I've seen of the openers that they've had there. The first weekend in March or whatever. So, I mean, I would say they come out making money on that race. So that's a pretty good thing.
Yeah,
that's good for any racetrack because that don't happen a whole lot.
That's the goal, right? I mean,
absolutely. I mean, that's everybody's goal, and most of them don't hit it very often.
Right.
So, I guess we'll dive on over here and let Doc take a check of the news.
A little bit of news this week. Denny Hamlin Short Track Showdown canceled for 2019 at the Langley Speedway. But guess what? Langley Speedway will still race on that allotted Thursday, April 11th, with a 200-lap late model stock car feature that'll replace that Denny Hamlin Short Track Showdown. It was canceled by the event organizers earlier in the week. The race will have a format similar to the Hampton Heat 200 and will have a purse that is larger than their regular weekly late model race. The race title, format, and purse and all the details will be announced in the upcoming weeks, and you can read it right here on RACE22.com. News from NASCAR, the Whelen All-American Series will now count 16 cars as a full field for racers chasing national or state points within your NASCAR track. NASCAR Whelen All-American Series points will count 2 points per position up to 16 cars with a maximum of 32 points before bonus points are awarded. The bonus points are also restructured and a whole lot better, as Langley and I were talking about earlier. We reward up to 4 bonus points for a winner starting 9th or worse. A driver starting 5th through 8th will receive 2 bonus points, and 0 bonus points will be awarded to a driver that wins that starts in the first 2 rows. Also, some of the other stories on race22.com. Be sure and check out some great reads. Wendell Davis reflects on the past, looks ahead onto 2019. Great read. I highly suggest that, race22.com. Check out Willis contemplating, of course, that's Danny Willis Jr., plans for 2019, but needs sponsors to stay in late model stock car racing, so we need a Danny Willis Jr. at the track, no doubt. Lemke set for the car store to run with Junior Motorsports. He's out of California. Adam Lemke is his name. He'll drive full-time for Junior Motorsports in the 98 Slick Products GoPro late model for the Cars Tour Rookie of the Year, looks like. Of course, we talked about, I know they're going to get into more details with the winter meltdown at Greenville-Pickens Speedway. Was it Devin or Devon? Devin Morgan was your winner. Austin, is it Samaro? Samaro, thank you.
Wow.
Had to get a check on that one.
This before the show.
Hey,
Wow.
comes with the
man.
territory.
You better get used to both of those names.
Yeah, no doubt. Austin in qualifying was the only guy in the 19-second bracket. That's hauling for a limited late model.
Oh, he was rolling.
Yeah,
That looked
you're gonna
good.
Hear that name more. I'm telling you.
And, of course, Morgan, I didn't realize that. His last race on asphalt, he's going to go dirt racing, right?
For now.
For now. Now,
Yeah.
Wynn got to change his mind, maybe?
We'll see how that goes.
So, yeah, he's one of the Hawk McCall Motorsports cars. Boy, they look good down there. All three cars in top three.
They look good pretty much everywhere they go.
They're
That's
PRW
awesome.
Especially
cars, that's
there.
why.
Yeah, gotcha.
They're performance center cars.
As you
That's why
said,
they
Myrtle
look
Beach
good.
Speedway Spring Fling this past weekend, 2 twin 40-lap races. 24 cars did start. I did look that up. Jeremy McDowell in a Harrington. Thought I'd add that to the notes. He was the winner in race number 1. Brian Voss, V-A-U-S-E. Was it Voss? Voss. Got it right. He was the winner in the second late model stock car feature. And our old friend of late model stock racing for many, many years, B.J. Mackey, was back in Victory Lane in the Super Trucks 40-lap feature for there. I thought that was absolutely awesome. I was so excited to read that.
Yeah, it was good good to see him for sure.
Absolutely. Still fast as ever. Oh, look what the cat drug in now.
Yeah.
The big news, and, of course, we're going to detail all the highlights of the upcoming big race next weekend at Southern National Motorsports Park. Next Saturday, March 9th, Solid Rock Carriers 300 presented by SRI Performance at Southern National Motorsports Park. Going to be a big race, first race of the year. All the cars are going to be all pretty and spiffed up and shined up. It's going to be in Danny. It's been 2 years since this series has been there, so I know hopefully the fans will be really wanting to see this series out there because the series has grown and gotten stronger. The competition is going to be just fierce. In the past 4 races, 3 different winners. Deke McCaskill, no doubt, won 2 of them. Todd Gilliland, Josh Berry was the other winner. So the track record was set in late model stocks for Jeff Oakley at 94.312 miles an hour. 15.267 was the time. Talking about the track surface, you and I during the week, and I know you talked to some of the guys that tested. Do you think that's going to be in jeopardy, or are they going to go a little bit faster? What do you think?
I don't think that'll be in jeopardy.
Gotcha. I was wondering about that when we were discussing that. So looking forward to get all the details there about this race next weekend. Knockout qualifying. Late model stocks and super late models. Qualifying will start, looks like 1:30, race green flag at 3 o'clock. And I want to see everybody out there because yours truly, and you're going to be there.
I probably won't be there.
Well, you're going to be there.
I think I'm going to Hickory. So
you think so?
Yeah.
I think you'll be there.
That's right.
I know. Where are you going to be at, Corey? Southern National. Corey said Southern National. He don't get his mic turned on yet because he was tardy.
Whoa!
He's going to try to talk over here and he's not even on.
Wow! Why do you guys got to pick on him all the time?
Go ahead, Corey. I got you.
Now he deked him.
Working now? Yeah.
It's
Drive from Greensboro at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Interstate 40 and make it to States 1 hour.
I'm proud that you
without
made
killing
it.
3 people.
I'm proud you made it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Now you're off.
You get to and he turned his
We'll let him catch his breath
Wow.
since that's crazy traffic right there the whole
no
time.
doubt.
No doubt. I'm
No
lucky
doubt.
I get to leave at 3. So anyway, looking forward to a big weekend with the Cars Tour at Southern National Motorsports Park. And that's all there is in the news, bruh.
Awesome. Good job.
Bruh.
Good job. Only messed up a couple names, So,
Bruh.
I mean.
Yeah, I'm good for that, bruh.
We are on target
Bruh.
this week.
Yeah, you
like
can tell
it.
I had my son this weekend.
That's
He's
awesome.
brubby to death.
I know, yeah. I have one of them.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means, but okay. So, anyways, going back to the conversation about Greenville, Devin Morgan was impressive, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and I knew that last year. I never saw him race last year. I only went to a race that they had late models, not limiteds, and I really felt like just watching the results and stuff, man. He's got to be pretty good, because he's in his own car. Man, he jumped in that Hawk McCall car, and those 3 guys, I mean, they were just Jeremy Burns, Austin Samara, man. They were all up front.
He does a good job down there.
I mean, and honestly, they should have finished 1, 2, 3.
Right.
If Jeremy hadn't made a mistake trying to cross back over on Devin when he passed him with 10 to go or so, I think it would have been a totally different situation. So
I mean,
I don't think
what do you say? He's got it figured out down there.
Oh, for sure.
And people, I mean, he goes there a lot. They go, you know what I mean? He works hard on his stuff. That's it. That's kind of what it takes to do it. He's doing a good job.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. I don't know. I was impressed with those guys. Impressed with Ralph Carnes. He had a little 603.
Yeah,
and
that
stayed
surprised
right there
me
with
the
them
most. I got to tell you,
day.
that surprised me the complete most.
Taylor Satterfield run pretty good. He's up and down all day, involved in both of the biggest crashes, and still was right up toward the front of the field. So I don't remember where he finished, but had a good run going. Had a good run going in the late model race. Of course, I was talking about that earlier. So
yeah,
but
I think you're going to see him get stronger. He's just got to make some more laps and get a little more familiar with his group, and I think you'll see him do good things.
Right, I agree totally. Going back to Myrtle Beach and talking about that car count, man. You think they can continue to sustain that? I mean, that's 3 years in a row.
Right, like I'd like.
They have just been the best car count of anybody.
You know what? We need that might be a good segue into Jack. I mean, he's the man that should be able to answer that. How are they doing it?
Myrtle Beach has it figured out. I mean, they treat their racers so good. Everybody enjoys coming there.
Right.
You never hear any complaints about anything. It's
right, but it's more than just treating people good, right? Like, because I've been today, right? If you go down through and look, so much of everything I've seen on social today, I wanted to take a glimpse of it, is all about just money. Meaning, if I had more money, I could do X. Or,
are you talking about my post?
actually, I wasn't, but I see both sides of it, right? So I see the dad that I'm not in his business, but I can tell you from what he chooses to spend through here or through whatever. Nobody's really ignorant, I don't think, in this racing deal. You pretty much know who's spending what.
Right.
There's some dads that are showing like they got tons of money because they think that's the way that they're going to get picked up. And there's other dads that don't have anything and are just trying to get there and not show and not whatever. How does Myrtle Beach continue to get the same thing over and over? They continue to duplicate it.
I think the most interesting part of Myrtle Beach is 3 years ago when it started, it was mostly out-of-towners.
Yes.
Now it's mostly locals. It's so weird.
Yeah, and it used to be like that a long time ago. Myrtle Beach had more locals than any track.
And they were all locals. Nobody from
right,
out of town.
Right,
nobody
which
from
is
out of town
why they
went to
did their
Myrtle
own class pretty much.
Right.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
that was the whole reason why they kind of did that limited Myrtle Beach late model class, because that was all their guys. Everybody was
something
local.
else going to Myrtle Beach. If I run 15th at South Boston, and I know I'm a 15th place car, I've got a chance to win at Myrtle Beach, maybe. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Just given the way
Yeah.
the races play out,
Yeah.
a longer race.
Is that because of the tire?
Yeah.
I mean, so are we saying, because you see drivers on both sides of it, right? You saw it this weekend. You saw some drivers say, man, I really thought I knew how to save tires, and man, I didn't know how to save tires. And how do you... Does that cause people to go to the racetrack because it wears the tires out and we can all have a better shot to win at the end?
I think so.
Maybe.
I think it helps.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I think
if I knew the secret to their success, I'd sell it to every other racetrack.
You know,
in
the one thing I'm
country.
finding super profound that I just started watching and watching and watching. I can't believe how many racers just want to know. They do give two damns about first through sixth. They just want to know where they can break even. That's it. That's it. They don't care about anything else. Like half of them can't tell you what it pays to win. All they know is that they have to be sixth to be able to make my tire bill and pay my fuel and do whatever, so that I didn't completely lose my lunch money or house money for the week.
Yeah.
Right, 100%. And I think that's where the car stores won.
For sure.
You know, the way their incentives are, and I guess that'll be a good segue
For
to
sure.
Go ahead and introduce Jack McNelly, the owner of the car store. Thank you for coming and being with us tonight, man.
Thanks for having me, for sure.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. We had talked to Chris last week, and definitely wanted to get one of you two on or both, and definitely glad to have you because I think you can tell us more than Chris. Chris got to hold a few things back.
Well,
I caught him off guard with that one.
He went to the throat right away. That was awesome.
I think so. I think you're right. But good to be here. And Chris sometimes is a tough act to follow. That's for sure. But,
no doubt about that.
I'll give it my swing anyway.
Gotcha. Well, man, exciting weekend ahead for the Cars Tour. Heading back to Southern National for the first time since 2016. Looking like pretty good field of cars going to be there for sure.
Looks like a great field of cars. Just before I came up, I think I have 32 late model stocks.
Nice.
And
Sweet.
22 or 23 supers.
Wow, that's awesome.
So we'll have 55 to 60 cars in the garage.
Wow.
Yep.
It's going to be pretty full down there for sure.
Yes. But we're excited to go back, as you mentioned. It's been 2 years since we've been there. It's a great facility. Michael Diaz, great guy to work with. We just hope the
yes, right. You didn't have to say that, right? He's not listening. It's okay.
He is. We just hope that the weather's looking good. It's turned around a little bit. It was kind of scary there at their first tour over the weekend, but it's looking pretty good. So, looking for a good turnout. Hopeful for good fan support for sure.
Yeah, I think. I think the fans down there always seem to come out. They're I don't know that they come out in the numbers that they do at Orange County, but they come out pretty strong at Southern National. That trackside parking really draws people in, no matter what the weather is.
It does, yeah. And on social media, for the last couple of years when we announced our schedule, we had a lot of pushback, if you will, that we weren't going to Southern National, and so hopefully those people aren't too angry at us. They'll come out now that we are going.
Oh, I think they're all back excited. You know
I
what I mean?
think so.
And the people there, I promoted there in 2015, and the people there, they all they care about is touring series and super late models, man. Yep. That is like their number one draw down there. I mean, they will come out, their base will come out for their regular shows, but for the most part, man, if they hear the word super late models, I mean, they can't wait to give you their money.
Well, they're gonna have a good super late model show. We've got some. Matter of fact, just today Steve Wallace signed.
That's always exciting.
And that
was worth the price of admission right there.
We just gained about 50 people right there.
Right. Yep. And you've got Stephen Nassy coming.
Stephen Nassy. So
that's another exciting one.
All we need is
Stevens to wreck each other. That would be the greatest thing.
Right.
Wreck and fight.
Again.
Jack is quiet on that one. He's like, I ain't talking about no fighting over here.
No, we're not going there.
We're not going there.
You'll let them sort it out, though, if it comes to that.
If they do it in a gentlemanly manner, they can do that.
Take it up in the hauler or something.
That's right.
Right. Yeah, I think the supers there, and the super late models at Southern National seem to, I love late model stocks. That's my thing. But super late models put on a better show at Southern National than late model stocks do, in my opinion.
I think it's the horsepower that they have. They're able to run multi-grooves where the late models sometimes can't get that done.
Right.
But we're looking forward to a good show. The late model stocks are stacked too. I mean, it's
any surprises there?
Stacy Purrier.
Yeah, well, I heard that he was possibly going to run the entire schedule.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, we just counted today. We have 17 late model stocks that have paid their annual entry.
Nice.
So we are guaranteed, so to speak, of 17 late model stocks at every event we go to.
Nice. That'll make for a good show, especially, because I know it's challenging for you guys when you go to places like Dominion and Langley, because they're a lot further away from where the core of these guys are. So having that many signed up should be a really good thing.
Well, and we always count on the locals joining us.
Yeah.
So, if we can take 17, maybe 20, and pick up, 3 or 4 or 5 up there, at 25 cars, pretty good show.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt. I would say 25 or 20 even, or even 17 would be an exceptional show at Langley Speedway for the car store. So.
Well, Langley's one of the few. They'll have some locals, quite a few locals.
Yeah, I would imagine.
More than other places, I think.
I think the only thing that may hinder that is I think they have a race the very following week. So we'll have to see how that plays out for the locals there. But, man, I'm excited to see you guys go out there. I've never been to Langley Speedway, as Mason Dunn will remind me 1,000 times.
It's a beautiful, nice, really nice facility.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And I'll be going to Dominion for the first time, too, this year. So.
And another good one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm glad you guys are back up there and, going and doing the road course thing, man. Are you you excited about that or going at it with, anxiety or what?
It's going to be interesting. Let's put it that way. Hopefully we have a legitimate number of the fellows that want to try it. I think we will.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, tell us about it. Tell us about what Langley's talking about. Some people might not know about it.
Well, as an exhibition race in after the season's over, and this all came about. Dominion wanted us to come back, but one of the caveats was that they wanted us to also run a road course race with our late model stocks. And so we agreed to do it, and in November, after our points is all done, we're running an exhibition race at road course at Dominion, and we're just anxious to see how it works, how many fellas turn out to give it a try. They're going to have to spend a little bit of money, as you know, Roger and Corey, but it's just something new, something, let's dip our toe in the water and see what happens.
Nobody else has tried it. Let's try it.
Yeah,
Has the feedback been good?
Yeah, I can't say that everybody's just dying to go.
No, for sure, right.
No, but
but that's not what you were after, right?
That's
nobody wants the train crash of 60 of people saying, yeah, I want to go right off the rip. Let's start it with 20 or 25 or whatever and build it into something.
I think if we can go up there and have in the teens or maybe 20, it'd be great.
Yeah.
And hopefully it turns out well. And those 20 come back, and the next time maybe we make it a points race. I don't know.
Right.
It seems to work for NASCAR.
It brings some versatility to it.
Definitely. It ought to be an exciting race, one way or another.
One way or the other.
Tell us a little bit. Take us kind of back through your history, in racing. I don't know that many people know you before the car store, so take us back. Give us a little, couple-minute history about you in racing.
Originally, I'm from Western Pennsylvania, and I never raced. I never drove, but in Western Pennsylvania, we owned cars. We sponsored cars. My company sponsored cars. My father and I were in the chartered bus business, and we sponsored cars, both dirt and asphalt. And in 1998, I sold the company, bottom line, and I stayed on for 4 years. As part of the buyout agreement. Worst 4 years of my life. Couldn't wait for those 4 years to get over. I decided to follow my dream and come down here to Carolina, and we started in the ARCA series, and then we ran nationwide until 2010. In the meantime, I got started with the Hooters Pro Cup, and we ran in the Pro Cup series until 2011. 2011, and then that's when I took it over, and Chris and I did everything we could to get that thing off the ground, and it just would not fly.
Yeah.
And so in 2015, I told Chris, I said, we're going to do one of two things. We're either going to change format, we're going to do something completely different, or I'm quitting. And that's when we came up. Kerry had quit in 2013, so 2014, the late model stocks did not have a touring series. And at the same time, there was some desire for another super series to start. And so we just came up with the stupid idea of putting them both together, and that's where it came from.
It's worked out pretty good so far.
Yeah, it has.
I mean, 2015, the season opener at Southern National was amazing.
64 or 5 cars.
I mean, they were packed in there like sardines, man. it was incredible. Hopefully it'll get back to pretty close to that. I mean, based on what you said, we're going to be really close.
I think we're going to be well in the mid-50s for sure.
One question coming in on the chat here is Matt Cheatham wants to know if you ever plan on racing dirt in the future.
We'll see how the road course works out first. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people in the dirt on the road course.
Yeah.
There'll be plenty of dirt there.
That might be our dirt race.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Wow, that was awesome. That was a good one, Corey. Yeah.
Andy Markey wants to know if you're planning to go to Langley and Dominion every year from here on out.
If they'll have us.
Gotcha.
Wow, you heard it here first.
Jack Walker wants to know, he just says he hopes that you guys go back to Myrtle Beach in 2020.
We would have went this year, but the schedule, we wanted to change it up a little bit, and we had an opportunity to go to Northern Virginia there to Dominion and Langley, and there just wasn't room. We love Steve Zacharias to death.
Yeah.
And to you folks' point when you were talking earlier about how he gets a car count, he treats his people right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
he treats his people right, and that's what you have to do in this business.
Everywhere that I went last year, there'd be one or two people that was at a racetrack that I was at that go and race at Myrtle Beach, and I'm like, why do you go to Myrtle Beach? I mean, you're so far away from it. Oh man, they just treat us so good.
Yep.
I mean, that was what every one of them said. They didn't talk about the money paid out. They didn't talk about the money they were spending. They just said they treat us so good. And I mean, that makes the ultimate difference in this business.
It does.
And I think that's where you guys have excelled too. I mean, I don't hear from people, that go and run the car store. I don't hear them say, well, man, they treat us like crap. You know what I mean? You never. I'm not going to say that overwhelmingly people say that it's great, but nobody's complaining. That's about as good as them.
That's
them
as
giving
good
you
as it's going to get.
Right.
I think it runs smoothly, and everybody knows what to expect every race. There's never nothing new and something crazy happened this time. It runs smoothly. Everybody knows where to go, qualify here, do this, practice, and it runs like clockwork.
Well, that takes a lot of work, Corey. It just doesn't happen that way. And we're forever, trying to fine tune on that. What can we do to take 3 minutes off here? We'd like the people to come in, have a nice evening of entertainment, and be on their way by 10:30.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's, the perfect show if you can get them in and out and, a good time. Will Bellamy, who's the PR guy and announcer now at Kingsport Speedway, said hopefully back to Kingsport in 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're wide open.
Good race right there.
Oh, yeah.
Jack's like, I'm going to have a 26 race schedule for this show.
But the interesting part is, I think that's part of the growth of this thing. Wait a minute. I mean, there's not people... If you're not doing the right thing, people are like, hey, let's team up. Let's do something good here. I see I think that's a feather in your cap, and, you have to take it as far as you can. You know what I mean?
Well, we do. But we also, Roger, we also have to be conscious of our competitors. Some of the fellas, a couple fellas sitting right behind me here, they're not big organizations. First of all, they can't race 25 times a year.
Right.
I think where we're at with 10 to 12 to 13 races from March to November is perfect, because there's time in between to regroup, get some money back underneath you, rebuild the car if necessary, and just as important, spend some time with the family.
Yeah, and those ones that do want to race, they can go race somewhere.
They can
do something else.
Yeah,
and you guys miss all the big races. That's one great thing about your schedule. Yeah. You miss every big race that goes on.
We try to do that, of course. I mean, it's in our better interest to do that, especially on the super side. They got those huge shows.
Speaking of supers, and we were just talking about Kingsport, I think that's where you guys should go with the super deal in conjunction with another tour. You know what I mean? That way, the car counts are pretty high. You know what I mean? Southern Super Series or
Sweet.
whoever, man. I mean,
Dude,
that would be
such a great. That would
Yes.
be such a great race.
That would be. Jared Fryar is not a fan. I go ahead and tell you that.
I mean, everybody would have restrictor plates on.
I
Right? That
probably
was-
wouldn't get a lot of votes on that
The
one.
thing about it, though, Jared
racing there
gave
is
it a thumbs
amazing.
down, but his dad can set up a car to go win at Kingsport. I'll tell you that right now. So,
Yep.
I mean, I think that would be a good move. I really believe that. That would be, an exceptional race. I mean, I really do.
Our late models had an excellent race up there.
Yeah.
They did. And Wake County, I mean, it was unbelievable. Everybody said, "Oh my God, you're not going to Wake County. What do you got something against your competitors? They're all going." That was the cleanest race we had all year.
Right. It was.
Yep.
It was.
And the winner came from 9th or 10th up
Yeah.
through the field to win.
Yeah.
Sam Mayer.
Yep, and had to hold on to it there at the end.
Yeah, he did.
It was that was good. That was a really good race for sure. Do you feel like you've had a lot of success over the last 4 years? You're going into your 5th year. Do you consider the last 4 years a success?
Oh, I think so. Absolutely. It's not necessarily a success in that I'm going to retire in Aruba next
Right.
year or
I
anything
understand.
like that. But a success, yes. I think, we have a platform that these fellows can operate on. Racing is expensive. I certainly know that. We do everything that we can to keep the cost down. We try to give as much purse as we can. I think it's successful in that people enjoy the Cars Tour. Different people have different definitions of success.
Right.
My success is looking in the garage area and having 40 or 50 cars there, looking in the grandstand, maybe 1,200, 1,500, in Orange County's case, 2,000 people. Everybody's having a good time. We've had a good, clean race, and everybody goes home waiting for the next event. That's a success.
Right. I understand that completely. From a promoter standpoint, as a guy who covers races, I want to see them wad them up and beat each other's brains in and everything else. And then when I become a promoter, I said, "Oh, this is really bad." First race I had 17 late models, and I think like 4 of them or 5 of them came back the next week because they just destroyed each other. So, I mean, it's not good for business.
It's not good. It's good for Rogers.
Oh,
Actually, it's
absolutely.
not. Hold on. Though. It's not. It's not good to have those big influxes because when 6 cars come through this door and all get the clips knocked off them, but everybody needs them the next week, it's not good for Roger. Right? Because somebody's pissed. No matter what happens, right? It's not good for me. Everybody thinks, "Oh, you want them to..." No. I want people to collectively kind of tweak on their stuff as they go, right? Like, I don't need a bunch of people from a Cars Tour event. It doesn't help. I can't get it turned around to you fast enough.
Yeah.
Right. Jack, what would you consider your biggest challenges over the last 4 years?
Grandstand, but it's growing, and each year it grows and grows, and that's the biggest challenge. People today have so many different things to do. Back in the day when I was a kid, I mean, we had the movie theater and we had the racetrack.
Right.
That was basically it.
Yeah.
Today, there's any number of entertainment things that people do. Our idea of our biggest challenge is getting people in grandstand. As far as the competitors and all that sort of thing, we can handle that because I think between Chris and myself, we have enough knowledge to do what's right by everyone in the garage area. We're still trying to figure out how to pack them in the grandstand.
What are you doing to pack them in the grandstand?
Dang, you can't take my question that easy.
I already knew you were going to use it, so I went ahead and took it.
I started wheeled up in the seat like, here we go. Oh.
Well, we started 2 years ago, and I think it was one of the smartest things we ever did. We started permitting children to come in free, 12 and under.
I agree.
That was the biggest. That really helped us because now Mom and Dad can come to the racetrack. They don't have to hire a babysitter.
Right.
And it, the other thing is it gets the kids involved.
Sure.
And hopefully that's building future racing fans,
Right.
people in racing. When we were when we were keeping the kids at home because we were charging, we were losing a generation.
Right.
So you really see analytically, you see a big influx of kids at the racetrack.
Oh, absolutely.
Due to your free.
Oh, absolutely.
And do you ask as a businessman so that people understand you? Is there any cost? I mean, there's got to be some cost in it, but not much. Right?
Not
I
much.
mean, from your perspective.
No.
They're going to make up for it somewhere.
No, I understand
Buying
that. But,
T-shirts
right,
or
but
whatever.
Buying a drink for the
he's
kid that came for free.
Right.
Well,
I mean,
yeah. Now
Yeah, he don't get that
we
money.
don't.
Well, yeah, you don't
we're
get
not
that
in
money,
the
I know.
concession.
Yeah, I
But
got
they do buy merchandise.
Sure.
Yeah, our merchandise sales, the small little venue that we have did quite well last year.
we've been preaching that. We've been preaching the merch.
For sure.
Yeah.
Merch is where it's at. I mean, great little side
My
hustle.
biggest thing is the promotion. I see the Cars Door. I mean, y'all do a lot of promotion for it, and I think that works wonders.
It does, and that's something we had to learn because we'd never really done much of that. But one of the main things that we have found is doing it the old-fashioned way, going around passing out flyers, nailing stuff up on the telephone pole like they did back in the day, stock car race,
Yeah.
There's nothing that replaces that.
I agree.
And it's, I won't say it's cheap, but it's
Right.
It's certainly attainable that we can do that.
Well, and you guys have, the best of both worlds. You're doing that, and you've got the digital side of it, through, the stuff Tony Stevens does and stuff that Chris does, and I guess Jacqueline
Drake.
So you got all of that.
They do a wonderful job on that. They sure do.
I mean, and I think, from a social media standpoint, I don't see anybody, matching what you guys are doing, right now.
That we're trying to reach out to the people that's into social media, and with the flyers and that sort of thing to us older people that don't get into social media a lot.
What do you see as being your biggest challenges going forward?
The biggest one, I mean, as far from the competitor standpoint, the biggest challenge is trying, and I put that in quotation marks, trying to get everybody on the same rules package. It seems to me every time we turn around, somebody's doing something that's causing us a problem. Because, as I said earlier, we depend.
Well, wait a minute. I think you are the head now. I think that I want you to know this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you here, but I believe this is this strong of a point, and I'll catch hell for this probably forever. But in the beginning, I wasn't a car store proponent. I really wasn't. I didn't like what was happening. I was carry old UARE. I really thought it would go. I'm intrigued that you say that for the simple fact of, I think you need to know that you got all the power right now.
Well,
and I appreciate that you do.
Well, I appreciate what you say,
but I really think you control the whole thing.
But when you have another sanctioning body that just goes out on a limb and changes something.
It's perfect. It makes you look like a hero.
Yes, but we almost have to follow suit or we're going to lose cars.
I don't think.
They still dictate so much.
I don't think.
These guys have to race there.
What do you mean
they're all going to
No, I think it's changed a lot.
It has, sure. No question. No question about that.
I think that I think that they have leverage at 2 or 3 racetracks in the United States for a late model stock, and that's it. And I think that you put them and draw a hard line in the sand where people. So every racetrack now that's NASCAR sanctions is going to tell the Cars Tour they can't go? No, they're not going to beat you. You have a great thing going.
But
he needs that bleed over of cars.
But I need those 3 or 4 cars that run Langley on a regular basis that only run when we get there. And if they're all set up under the other rules,
right,
I'm not going to get them. And they're not going to spend money to change their car to run our one race.
But I will say you are becoming less dependent on locals.
Why do you, I don't.
No, that's where the UARE went wrong. The UARE went wrong by changing their rules and dividing themselves.
Yes,
that's how they got.
But the coolest part is he's not dividing himself from them.
But
he's giving analytical data behind the stuff that he makes.
Totally agree.
It makes sense. They're doing their due diligence and they're coming forth with it, which is why they're winning. Who gives a damn what the other side does?
I will say, Roger, that we have never changed anything that we didn't test.
Right.
Never.
Exactly. right. Like,
but I can't say that for all.
No, but that's why I want.
What a novel idea.
Right.
But it's a pain in our
you're
ear.
right. But that's the perfect thing right there. That's what I'm saying. That is the perfect thing right there. We've never changed anything we didn't test. We're allowing. I don't think the 3 cars is to make or break you. And
it wouldn't, but first of all, it hurts you also in the grandstand.
Exactly.
Because you've got 100, 150 people that are there to see those 3 cars and how they do against these outsiders.
I understand.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And when UAR used to go to Ace, every time Kerry would make sure that Roddy Cook and Speedy Fawcett was in the race.
Yeah.
And that filled up half the grandstand by the two guys being there.
Yep. You got to have those local heroes. You know what I mean?
When we ran Pro Cup and Lee Pulliam run a couple races in the Pro Cup series, good for 100 people.
Yep.
Guaranteed. Every one of them had Pulliam shirts, hats, whole 9 yards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No doubt. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
I got nothing.
You done spun yourself out over
I
here
didn't spin myself
already,
out.
or what?
I just think that what people don't understand is at most of the local racetracks, we're putting out the same crap that we've been putting out for 10 years. It's not converting. Let's just put it that way. Like I'm not going to look at the analytical numbers behind it. Look how many people were there 5 years ago. Look how many people were there 10. Look how many people were there 5. Look how many people are there now. Right?
Right.
So we have to say that the Cars Tour has taken over as the leader. I'm not going to say you got the super late model deal yet because South is real strong on that. So I'm not going to. But as far as the late model stock car deal, you're truly, in my opinion, in the driver's seat, and you give the racer, in my opinion, leverage back against NASCAR. If it wasn't for you, now we have the wild, wild, complete West because there's no other options to do anything.
Yeah.
You always got to have. I just think you have to have both, and I don't think you understand the leverage that you tote now, and I appreciate it. I'm glad that somebody's toting it.
Well, I think they sort of are, even though the rule books may not match up, 100% like the Spindle deal. You know what I mean? You guys allowing that. Every racetrack that I've talked to since that came out that you guys were allowing that, except for one, said that they were just going to go on and roll with it, just like you guys are. Yeah. So, I mean, I think you guys...
I was more referring to the engine
packages. I know what you were referring to.
Right. I mean...
Yeah. But, I mean, that's something that you guys kind of forced their hand to just go on and move with.
It just boggles my mind that you can make a change and test nothing. You don't know what the heck you're improving. You don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Andy Markey said that one of the biggest challenges for you guys, going in another direction with the rules as you were talking about there, is the 2 or 3 racetracks that are strictly NASCAR rules have the most cars.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, the South Boston,
yeah, but didn't you and I
the
talk
Motor
about
Miles,
just last week about not trying to get every racer, right? Like we did that, and this is what I'm saying. Where I think you miss it is, I think if you have 17 of the most elite guys, yes, you may lose 100 people in the grandstands, but how many people did you gain by them saying, hey, these are the elite guys. We, who run your local race track every week, and we don't think we can race with them, so we're not going to go, but we're going to go out there and watch it because it's going to be an awesome race. Right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. When the local guy that's kicking everybody's butt decides, hey, man, I'm too beat to race against these guys, hey, that's his own deal, right? He's probably still going to come watch the race. I think we got to get it to where there is a predominant series. It runs on its own deal, and then if the racetracks want to follow with it, they follow with it. If they don't, then they run the NASCAR deal. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the NASCAR deal at all.
Oh, no.
But there has to be some unity because right now, 8 racetracks, 5 different rules packages.
Yeah.
Good luck.
There's not enough cars around for all that. Right? There's not enough.
I don't know, though. Are there? Because Myrtle Beach had good numbers.
Right.
Right? Right? I mean, he's going to have good numbers. He's talking about this week. So I don't think we should down-talk it. Maybe there is enough.
I mean, there's a lot of cars. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's another conversation for another day. You mentioned the weather this weekend, kind of clearing up for you.
Right.
Another thing that I talked to a couple of racers about was the racetrack itself, Southern National. Southern National seems to be at the beginning of the year really hard to have side-by-side racing. Are you guys planning on putting anything down on the racetrack to make an attempt to do anything to fix that? Because, I mean, that could hinder your show.
No, we're not. We did that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and I don't know how much success we had with it, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. It was pretty much the same race. Mm-hmm. And be honest with you, we don't prepare the racetrack. We don't own the racetrack. We rent the racetrack and come and race on it.
So that's a question for Michael Diaz?
Yes.
All right. Well, he's listening, so maybe he'll chime in.
What's up, Diaz?
And let us know. I think that'd be, something that, could potentially help the race to be better. Southern National is a really tough place to have side-by-side racing these days for whatever reason. By the time you get to the Thanksgiving Classic, though, it's on. I mean, they can have really good side-by-side racing. I don't know if it's just they've been going all year, if it's, they're going for 3 straight days there, or exactly what the deal is, but it's so much better.
Well, they've been testing down there all week, so maybe they'll have some rubber down and they can get after it pretty good.
Well, these guys sure love to test, and that leads me into another question. What do you think? Racers are all the time talking about, how the lower budget guys are always talking about how we need to, eliminate or, make testing a lot less. What's your standpoint?
First of all, I wouldn't have any idea how you'd ever police that.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it. There's just no way to do it.
And secondly, from a financial standpoint, who am I, or how can I, as a promoter, tell Michael Diaz that for a week before our event, he can't make any money by testing our cars?
Well, many series have done that.
Yeah.
7-day testing policies pass. UAR had that.
How'd that work?
It worked out pretty good.
They were able to tell Kevin Piercy he could not test on his race.
Yeah, they actually did that,
Yeah.
But I don't know how.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was part of
it. Worked all except for when Jamie Cottle tested a car at Southern National before the 2011 race, UAR race, 2010, 2011, one or the other. And he was, I guess that was when he was helping Junior Motorsports or whatever. They brought 2 or 3 cars there. He wasn't supposed to race, and then he did, and then whatever. But they just went on. I think they took a lap from him in qualifying or something for that, but
it was Jimmy Cole.
I mean, otherwise, it didn't matter.
Take a lap.
Jamie Cottle at
Really?
Southern National.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Whatever.
No problem. Matter of fact, take a lap and a half. I'll give you the other one.
Mike Ray bringing up another good point. You guys are working to save the racers money. You got 10,000 to win races this weekend and only 4 tires, so that's got to be a big help for those guys.
It is. I doubt there's very many 10,000 to win 4-tire races in the country.
No.
Probably not. I can't imagine.
No. So, that's just another way that they don't need 6 tires. They don't need 8 tires. They can run it on 4, so let them run it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Just wanted to let you know that your son, Tony Stevens, just walked in.
Oh, my God. I would never claim that.
We're going downhill fast.
Yeah.
So,
how did this, 30,000 to win at Orange County, where did this whole idea, how'd you say, hey, let's do this?
Well, I'm not sure if it was alcohol or what, but I mean, Martinsville is a big deal, and I understand that completely. It's, as you know, it's sanctioned by NASCAR, and we just felt we wanted to have a big deal ourselves. And someone said, "Why Orange County?" Well, why not Orange County?
Yes, it's a great.
Yeah, that's one of the raciest tracks I've ever been to.
It is, and the grandstand on a bad night for us, 1,500.
Right.
So I'm gonna hedge my bet and go to some place that I feel is very raceable and the people enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a very nice facility. Ronald Hill should have a great little party out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably already got his camper lined up out there ready to go.
He wanted to come today, but he couldn't make it.
How's the feedback been on all that so far?
Well, right now we have over 20 entries paid, ready to go. Hopefully we'll have 50 to 60 cars.
What's the number in your head that makes it a success?
50.
Sorry. I'm stealing all the Rogers questions.
Man, that was it, right? I was right there. I was like, where's your number? What's your number?
50.
There?
Yeah, I would think 50 would be really good. I mean, are you happy if it's 40? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'd be disappointed.
Yeah.
I can't say I'd be happy.
Yeah, sure.
I think we should do better than that.
Right.
Lots of tracks are not running because of that. The Northern Virginia tracks are running, but that's okay. So we're hoping to 40 to 50.
Gotcha.
What's the one thing you did? I know you guys come up with some different configurations of things you're going to do and pit stops with the 1 year and then this and that. What's the biggest thing where you thought, man, this is not going to work. This is so terrible. This is not going to work. And then come to find out, you were like, damn, that was pretty good. Maybe we should do that again.
I'm probably going to get some pushback over here.
Well, they can't do anything. Their mics aren't on. You got nothing. They're not going to do anything.
Probably the knockout qualifying. I didn't think, it was all that good of an idea. But, the competitors seem to enjoy it. And, quite frankly, there's only 200-300 people in the stands anyway.
Right,
so,
sure.
Right.
The competitors seem to enjoy that.
Did you see any increase in fans showing up early when that was the case?
No.
It's too hot.
Probably.
It's too hot.
Yeah.
Probably.
Now, you got to be a real diehard fan to come at 5 o'clock and sit there till 11 watching a race.
Tell us one thing. I think people. Let's talk from the businessman side of it. One time, I think that people think we all make millions and millions and millions of dollars, and I don't think they understand the work side that you do outside of the Cars Tour. Just not it being your sole gig. How it's hard to make money as a promoter.
Oh.
What's your biggest holdback? What's beside money, right? Because everybody says money. Anybody you talk to in here, if you ask them, what do you need to do to go faster, or what does your business need to be better, you say money. That's it, right? If I just put more money in it, it'll go better. Beside that, what is the one thing that keeps you from just completely breaking out?
Fear.
No, I appreciate that answer.
Fear.
No, I appreciate that answer.
We started this. I took over the Pro Cup Series in 29, and then my 3 partners left, so I was alone in 2011. My biggest fear is doing a bunch of stuff, stupid stuff, and putting yourself out of business.
Sure.
I don't want that to happen. And Chris and I have had long discussions about this. You have to live within your means, just like your family.
Sure.
I think running a business is just like yours. You have to live within your means.
Right.
You can't start building these cars for $1,000.
No, right.
Okay?
Right.
By the same token, we can't just start giving
tires away.
Giving the farm away, giving tires away.
Right.
We have the Touring 12 program, which is fantastic program. I don't know if a lot of people realize, but that Touring 12 program, depending upon the individual and his luck or lack thereof during the year, that's like a sponsorship of almost $7,000.
Right.
Wow.
It's pretty good.
Between their reduced entry, reduced tire bill, and guaranteed start money. Even if they have a problem on lap 1, they're guaranteed X number of dollars.
Wow.
You add all that up over the course of the year, again, it's anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000 to $7,000. That's a pretty nice sponsorship.
For sure. Well, one last question I got before I let you go, and it's just something I wonder. Nobody else probably cares. Well, let me ask this question that Andy asked first. Let me back up.
Okay.
Andy Markey wants to know, what's the plan for the series if Friday practice is rained out? And I assume he's asking that because 2016 Southern National, you guys couldn't test, so you moved the race. So what's the plan?
We'll probably just go on without it.
Got you. I think that's a good plan.
I do too.
But my question, T-shirt sales. Last year, you guys did individual shirts for the Touring 12. How did that work out?
On some of the competitors, good. On the others, not so good.
Sure.
As you can expect.
Yeah.
We had probably the biggest sales. Was really a big surprise to me. Charlie Watson.
Yeah.
Sold more shirts than anyone
awesome.
else. Charlie Watson.
Wow.
He did.
It was very surprising.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Doc wanted to know if that was after he dropped his interesting comment on the PA.
Charlie's a good guy, though.
I want to know, too, can we get a Tony Stevens Mouth of the South T-shirt this year? Put his face on there. Don't put that hat on there, though.
Does he have his penguin hat on?
Does he have another hat?
He doesn't have anything else. Can y'all give him a damn car store hat?
When you open his closet, it's just all Penguins hats.
Hey, let me tell you something funny.
All in line,
When Tony first moved down here, he said, "Man, does it get cold enough anywhere down here where a pond will freeze over I can skate on?" I said, "Yes, I will take you to one. I will take you to one because none of them do."
Oh, wow.
Got out of control quickly. You got to bring Tony Stevens into it, and it all goes bad.
Figured it would. You guys got anything else?
Yeah.
We've already been there.
Tony over talking, so and we'll give him his 2 minutes.
I appreciate you. I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
I appreciate what's happening. I'd like to, use us as a platform to try to help get your word out. I think that's something you guys are doing really good. Is getting your word out about what your things are. I want you to. I do have one question before you go. I want you to explain to people how hard it is to compete and draw. You're looking for sponsorship for your series just as much as every competitor that races in it. And there's some fine lines there as a sanctioning body that you don't want to take from a competitor, but yet you have to also try to generate revenue so that those competitors have a platform to race on. How do you deal with that?
Well, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
And it is a fine line. And I would never, ever, because I had it happen to me, I would never try to steal a competitor's sponsor.
Sure.
I had it happen to me in the Nationwide Series, and it's not very pleasant. We are very, very fortunate in having, I believe, 26, 27 contingency sponsors. That's why these guys' cars are almost covered up with decals.
Right.
We work at hard. And we're fortunate in that these folks see what we're doing, they're appreciative of what we're doing, and they support us. And every time I have an opportunity, and I know the guys get tired of hearing me, every time I have an opportunity, I try to encourage them to patronize the stickers on those cars.
Right.
If you have to buy something, please buy it off of this guy here, not this guy over here.
Right.
This guy is pumping money into this series, making it possible to do what we're doing here. Please, please, please take care of him too.
Yeah, I agree.
But it is very difficult. We, especially on a local level.
Yeah. There's just so many. There's only so much
you
dollars,
can't,
right?
You can't. You're not going to talk to a national brand or anything like that. You have to find a local situation, and it's difficult. It really is. But as far as the sponsorship, I have no complaints. These 25, 26 people take really good care of us.
Awesome.
Yep.
We'll leave it there. Cars Tour advanced tickets available on carsracingtour.com.
Yes.
And of course, the race coming up this weekend to $10,000 to win. races for the late model stocks and the super late models at Southern National Motorsports Park. And we'll let you get out of here, but we appreciate you coming on for sure.
Well, I sure appreciate it, fellas. Thank you.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, up next we got Jared Fryar, and let's bring Mark Fryar over here and get him to talk too. So we'll get them over here and set up and ready to go. Got a lot of people chiming in on the
one
chat
thing
here.
I wanted to bring up for just us three, while he's off, I wanted to ask this to him, and I forgot about it during the time. What's your thoughts about that the sponsorship deal that they're doing, where you can, as a fan.
Oh yeah, from Orange County.
Right,
yeah.
from Orange County. Have you seen? You didn't even know about this. There's a lot of people that don't know about this, and I think this could be a big deal.
Corey's a little out of touch, you know what I mean? Basically, the fans can go on and sponsor drivers on the car store website.
Yeah, so you can go online if there's somebody that you want to help or somebody that you want to do something with.
Yeah.
You can sponsor them, whatever, gallons of fuel, pit passes, whatever. I don't know if it's anonymous or not. I don't know how.
See, that's just something that they do. They do different stuff. If you do nothing, it's just going to be the same thing all the time.
And that's what I
really like the stuff they do.
I could have asked him 100 questions just because I think he's doing so many things the right way. I mean, I don't get me wrong. Nobody's got it perfect, right? And I'm not dogging NASCAR. I'm not. I just think right now, in the short term, NASCAR's losing. I'm not saying that they won't win in the long term.
Right.
But I'm telling you, in the short term, I right now know that they're losing. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. Nope, I agree 100%. I mean, it's the car store's doing all kinds of things that benefit the racer, and there's
the racers like it.
Yeah, and there's nobody better to tell us about that than one of the racers. We've got Jared Fryar, the 2018 Cars Tour Super Late Model Division champion. Welcome to the show, man.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, we definitely wanted to get you on. We don't really cover super late models a lot, but we do in conjunction with the car store, and we wanted to get somebody from super late models on, and I can't think of anybody better than the champion. So, and we'll bring your dad into the conversation here in just a few minutes. Got Mark Fryar over here as well. Definitely one of the top guys making calls on cars, no matter whether it's yours or somebody else's. So. Tell us about your season last year, man. I mean, to win the championship had to be pretty special. I know you guys aren't, one of the big budget teams, and it had to be a really big deal for you.
Yeah, it definitely was a big deal. The plan at the beginning of the year was just to run all the races. We knew it was going to be tough going to some of the tracks we'd never been to. So I guess it was right before Bristol's when we kind of started looking at points because he don't like Bristol that much. So he didn't want to go, and, of course, I was wanting to go.
Yeah.
And so I can't remember if we were second or leading it or whatever, and so that kind of dictated us going. And
right.
So it all worked out there at the end. But, yeah, it was a good time. Got to go to some of the racetracks that I'd never been to, Nashville, Bristol in a Super, Myrtle Beach, and some of those tracks. So it was definitely a tough year, but it was good. We had good finishes, and we had some not so good. But it all worked out, and was able to run consistently all year long. Didn't get a win, unfortunately, but was able to be there every race and run with some of the best I felt like all year, and beat most of the regular car store regulars all races, and was able to get the championship. So it was definitely big and special for our team and everybody that helps us on the car.
Especially when they have those combination races, man. You guys get some extremely good competition coming up from the south. Had to be cool to race with some of those guys.
Yeah, it was definitely awesome. Since we don't get to go to Pensacola at all, it was good to race with some of the guys that come to Anderson and race with us. And even at Nashville, there's some really good cars there, from Ohio, Indiana to Florida, Georgia. You know what I mean? So that definitely made us a lot better. We went there, and I learned a lot, and I think we learned a lot about the race car and what we need to look for. So I'm really excited about going back to tracks like that again this year and being able to run with some of them guys. I have a lot more confidence to run with them now and think we can do it. So looking forward to this year.
Sounds like we got a handful of those guys coming to Southern National. Jack was talking about Stephen Wallace and Stephen Nassy coming, so those two will be really good. Got to stay out of their way, you know what I mean? If they get to your bumper, you got to get out of the way, man. I'll go ahead and tell you, those guys, they're really up on it. Maybe you'll be far out in front of them and ain't got to worry about it.
Yeah, hopefully.
Of the tracks that you went to that were new last year, what was your favorite?
Probably Nashville, honestly. Because I'm a big fan of Bristol. I like Bristol a lot. Like how hard you got to drive, and and it kind of takes some of the car out of it, if that makes sense. You know,
Right.
to be fast at Hickory, you almost got to have a really good car. It don't matter how hard you drive or how far you push it. You know, where Bristol, I didn't feel like we had the best car, but you know, I could just drive it in there really hard, and Nashville is kind of the same way.
Gotcha. Nashville, man, that place is, you know, so historic. You know, it's like going to Hickory or whatever. You know, it's the history and all that. It's got to make it even cooler to go there.
Yeah, it was definitely special to me, you know, because my grandfather raced there too. That was a big deal. You know, I've been there several times, watched many races there, and to finally race there was pretty cool. Hopefully, go back for the All-American one day.
Gotcha. Yeah, that'll be really cool. What's your plans for this season?
Just stick with the Cars Tour again, and maybe to see how things go early of the year. And I like to personally venture out. I'd like to go to Pensacola now with the pit stops changing for the snowball.
Yeah,
it kind of gives us an incentive to go. Like I tell people all year long, we race with no pit stops. And
right.
and the biggest race of the year, most prestigious race, the race we spend the most money at, we go have pit stops. Well, my car's not set up for pit stops. I've never made a pit stop. My crew ain't really set up for pit stops, so it just don't make sense for us to go. So if everything works out, I'd really like to be there this year, and you know, racing all year long. We have pretty solid notebook going into the last race of the year. So to me, it only makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think about, you know, like this region late model stocks? I mean, that's what it's all about. You know, super late models. You know, you've been in late model stocks, so you've had some time there, and in limiteds. You know, what do you think keeps super late models from growing around here?
Man, I really don't know. I know a lot of people complain about not being able to race on weekly basis, you know, and that's kind of where late model stocks seem to do better at is being able, you know, if they don't have a cars race, they can go run Hickory or they can run Caraway or whatever it might be, you know. But also, you know, the supers, there's a lot of rental rides in there, so them guys are kind of moving through. They don't really stay in there like you're talking about earlier.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Is, you know, them guys, when we go to the racetrack, half the people in the stands don't know who's in the 14 car or who's in the 2 car, whatever, you know, because it's something different. Where like late model stocks, they're going to know who's in that 08 car every week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they have a good following, and I don't know, you know, I mean, like I said, them guys been racing late model stocks forever.
Right.
So I guess that's kind of, you know, they don't seem to like to travel either, you know. Late model stocks don't. I mean, they do, but they don't like to go to Florida. They don't like to go to Winchester, that places. So
Winchester's awesome.
Yeah, so that's.
I would love to go there one day.
Dude, it's awesome.
And that's I like, you know. I grew up quarter midget racing, and we went all over quarter midget racing, you know. So that's kind of why I like super late model racing, because we can go to Pensacola or we can go to Winchester, or California if you really want to.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
you can.
So I really like the traveling part.
Yeah, absolutely. You've drove them all. What's your favorite?
I mean, honestly, my favorite's a super late model.
Because of the power or what?
Yeah, because the power and the way they drive. But I like racing late model stock. People ask me that all the time, like, what's your favorite? I said, well, if I could race a super late model with the late model stock guys, that'd be the ticket. But
now you're going to have to explain that one.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. The late model stock guys put on a better race. You know what I mean? You don't see them running to each other, tearing stuff up every week, right? You know, pulling bonehead moves. You know, they always race side by side and put on a hell of a show. And being able to race with some of them guys in late model stock when I did was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just tough to do that with the supers. I'm sure you can watch some of them cars out there. They run into everybody, you know. I don't like that, you know. So
So you think they're a rougher crowd?
Yeah, it is a little bit, you know. I mean,
do you think that's because of the power?
I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't make him run into people.
No,
so.
I didn't mean that, but I think people, like, it's easier to manage your stuff. I think it's easier to manage your stuff, right? When you got, like, quarter midgets. When you're a junior Honda, it just gets locked down into the racetrack, right? It's easier to manage your stuff when you don't have as much. And I wonder sometimes if when you get over your head for some of those that are just passing through, right, they end up over their head way faster in the supers than they would.
That's
in
what
the
I
late
was going
model
to say.
stock.
But the reason it's rougher is because, like you say, every race, I cover racing. I go to race, and I was like, that car last week had somebody else in it. Now there's some kid that's never drove a super in his life in it.
Right.
You know, every week you got 4 or 5 kids in the race that's never even drove a legend car a week before.
Right, but you're taking motor away from half of them supers anymore just to try to, you know what I mean? We're at that point. I think we're up against the tires or whatever. You know?
Right. So, and then also, you know, you look at the age of them guys that race supers, you know, and you look at the age of the guys that race late model stocks. A big age difference. You know what I mean?
Do you think that's a trend thing from the kids making it to Cup, or what do you think attributes that?
Man, I I don't really know. Honestly,
I don't either. But it seems like that, right? It seems like that's a good.
It really does.
That's a good number. I wonder why. I wonder what causes that.
I don't know.
You weren't even paying attention.
Yeah, I wasn't. So we can just go with that. I was reading something on my phone, so tells you where I'm at. I'm reading Mason Dunn's Ignorance here too. So, get a little sidetracked on that.
Ignorance.
Yeah. But man, you come from a long history in racing. Tell us about the history and your family through racing.
Well, he can probably explain that better than I can because I wasn't live most of the years. I wish I was, but
hey, Lang, this show's only 3 hours long, man.
We're good. We're good.
That's why he started at 6 this week.
Exactly.
Yeah, they could write a book on their family history.
I guarantee it.
Well, he mentioned my dad ran Nashville. He actually won the track champion at Nashville in 1964. So there's
been a few years.
Yeah, that's been a few years ago.
Yeah, just a couple.
But he's ran racing's in our family for 60 years almost, and it's what we do. It's I don't know.
Yeah, I understand that. What does it mean to you to carry that legacy on?
It definitely means a lot, especially for the big shoes my grandfather left me to fill. So to do that, make a name for myself in the super late model world is what he ran. It's
pressure. Is there pressure?
Not necessarily pressure, because I think he's got me by a little bit. So I just try to do the best we can and hope for the best sometimes. But it's definitely fun and it's special to race some of the tracks he did and do some of the things he's been doing. So.
Yeah, I'd say that's got to be really cool. What's it like working with your dad?
It can depend. It's been great.
He's sitting right beside
He was wondering if the honesty should come out here.
Nah, honestly, I wouldn't trade it for nothing. It's like I tell people to race with my dad is something I'll never get back, and go to the racetrack, work in the shop with him all week and everything. It's definitely special. It means a lot to us, and that's why winning races and championship and running good means a lot and is very special to us.
I mean, for you, Mark, what's it like to work with your son? You've worked with, all kinds of different racers, at all kinds of different levels. What's it like to work directly with him?
Yeah, it means a lot. Sometimes it's really hard, trying to keep him in line and trying to keep us on our standard package, or he'll want to go off sometimes, and sometimes it's tough, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's time we spend together that means everything.
I know this will be a really hard question for you, and you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. Where does he stack up among the racers that you've worked with, talent-wise? And Jared's saying very low over here. So
I don't know. I mean, I've worked with some good ones.
Tell us who are some of the racers that you've worked with.
Well, I mean, I worked with Bobby Labonte and Terry Labonte and Adam Long, and I mean, I've had several.
Your own dad.
Through my dad,
That's awesome.
Man, I could go on and on, but I mean, he does good.
Ward Burton.
Ward, yeah.
500 winner.
Which I didn't, I worked for the team, but I wasn't his crew chief. But
right.
That's kind of what I was looking at. But there's a lot of them, and but he gets it. He grew up through the ranks, and I think he's got a little blood. And they all tell me it skipped me and went from my dad to him. So I'm better at preparing the car, and I wasn't that good at a driver. But
how much did you race? I don't know a whole lot.
Just
of your
a little
history.
bit. I lived in Florida years ago. I raced a little bit. Not a whole lot. I see Doc over here saying I race remote control cars a lot, but I used to. But yeah, it's.
Gotcha. What do you guys do? Both of you guys. I'll go with you, Jared, first. What do you guys do for a living? I mean, what is your day job?
Well, I'll be honest, I really don't have a real job.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. I would have went on and went with working on race cars.
Right. No, that was.
I'm gonna be honest.
No, I think that's cool that you don't. I mean, you don't think that's a job.
I do a lot of side work for different people. Really, work here and there, and I like to race. I like to work on my own race car, and to be able to race my own car, I have to work on it. So that kind of takes a lot of time, especially running like we did last year full time and going different places is tough. Testing during the week or traveling to different races on a Thursday or something. You know what I mean? So it kind of makes it tough. So just trying to enjoy it and do it as much as I can right now.
Gotcha. And what do you do for a living right now?
I work for Sterling Building Group, which is Brandon Risley, and he had a late model truck, and we had a limited car, and I took care of the race cars, and we also have our supers there. So I'm fortunate that he lets me work on the supers, and then he ran some at Hickory last year. He's going to run the limited car this year at Hickory. He's wanting to run maybe a super time or two. So I do that, and I do odd things around the construction company. Anything he needs, if I need to run a piece of equipment somewhere, or if we're going to a race, I'm on the race car or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Those Sterling people are great. They buy lots of batteries from me now.
Yeah. I've even been over there a time or two. But
yeah, I thought you was about to talk over here.
No, Corey's pissed because his mic just finally got turned on. He's been trying.
His
to talk
mic's been
for the
on
last
all night.
hour.
He thinks if he can't hear himself breathing, which we can hear you over here, he thinks if he can't hear himself that his mic's not on. So he's done freaked out over here about 5 times.
Tell me, what's the hardest thing for you being a dad, trying to, it's different working with your kid, right? I mean, that's the one thing that I learned racing with my son, right? Is it's different. It's like I turned into a complete goofball, right? Like I'm not
turned into.
No, I mean like things that normally, like I can go to the racetrack normally with a kid and have no problem, and like my son misses the line 2 times, and I am dragging him through the window net, wanting to shake the life out of him. And I just expect perfection out of him, and when you've competed, I think, and win at a decent level, and you're used to those kind of results you want to happen, then how do you bridge that gap? And you're handicapped in a lot of ways. You get some financial help, but you'll work a lot and scratch and claw and do whatever to get where you need to go. So what's the biggest thing you could do?
Well, I mean, with him, I guess when we ran quarter midgets, he was pretty good on the line. I mean, we started off, we had a little trouble with the line, but it didn't take him long, and he was really good at that. But I'll never forget a race. He gets out of the car and gets in my face, and he's probably, 10 years old.
Sure.
He said, that was the worst car I ever drove. Worst car I ever drove. He's in my face doing this. And I said, well, let me tell you this. If that car was perfect every time you got in it, I wouldn't need you. I'd get that little girl over there.
Exactly right.
But now he don't do that. He understands both of us. If the car's not good, it's just as much his fault as it is my fault. Yeah, but it can be tough sometimes.
Yeah.
It can be trying sometimes. But I will say, a lot of times I'm writing notes. I don't even have to look at the car. Certain drivers, I'll have to look at the car, kind of see what it's doing and stuff. Him, a lot of times I'm writing notes, and I don't even look at the racetrack because I'm writing all my notes down while he's out there.
Sure.
So I go back on his feedback, and his feedback's been really good.
At least you guys have established a communication between. That's great. Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yep. So it's different, I can't really honestly say I've ever had a crew chief, like come in and say, all right, we're going to do this and that,
That's what I was just going to ask you. Explain to me your feedback. I think there's a lot of division here between young kids, right? Some young kids, dads want them to know everything, right? Like, I need you to know that this car needs 8 more pounds of right rear spring in it. If you don't know this, and then you see other kids that barely can describe when the thing's tight or loose, right? So what do you think on that? How far do you go? Where is you guys' middle ground? Is it, hey, I need 100 pounds more of spring, or I'm tight, you fix it? You know what I mean? How much do you rely on him, or vice versa?
It's pretty mutual, honestly. I can kind of tell. I know what setup's underneath it, and so does he, and we know kind of like what we've run good with and what we kind of did on some of the changes in previous races. So we kind of meet in the middle in there. I'm like, hey, look, I think it might need this. Well, he's like, well, when we did this, we kind of bounce back, or he's like, well, the car looked like it's doing this. You know what I mean? And then it's very mutual. He watches it some, and I tell him kind of what I'm feeling.
Good, that's cool.
But I'm also old school, so I just kind of go a lot of his feedback, and a lot, like I said, a lot of times I'm writing notes. I don't sit there and watch the car and kind of go on the driver's feet. That's what we did back in the day. It was always a driver feedback.
It was the only data we had.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
that and how much the tires grew or air pressure went up. That was it. Like, here you go. Then we started temperature.
And I'm also kind of old school when it comes to changes. I don't like a lot of change. We go to the racetrack with a package. I like to stay in that package. He'll change bumps and stuff. I'm okay with all that, but I don't want to get into moving slugs and changing A-frames and doing all that. I try to keep in a package. Now he's a young guy. He wants to try all this crazy stuff.
That's important. I really think that's important. I think that the people that don't have someone that keeps them in the ballpark, I think they get in trouble quick. That's still one thing I've already noticed a lot about this season, just with people testing and with there being some new people that are kind of entry leveled into the sport and some different things, is that they don't know. Like, we don't have any true package because people are all so over the map that they have a little bit from him and a little bit from him, and they think they talk to this guy and this should be good, and Wizard down there by the railroad tracks is building some decoupled shocks and you should get them. And I find it like completely intriguing, and I think it's so overwhelming for a new customer base because they think there's a million things that they should change. And I find that refreshing. And the Cars Tour champions said they go with a package and they pivot around inside that package.
Yep.
And I think that's big for people, especially, that are just new 2, 3, 4 years into this, trying to figure out that, they're still trying to understand bump stops. I think that's what we take for granted a lot of times. That people start trying to figure out what bump stops is all about,
Yep. To be honest, we pretty much ran the same package the first race as we did up until before South Boston. And then he kind of let me take over, and it didn't go
amazing.
good. But
no, but that's amazing.
So,
and that's how usually when you're winning championships, that's kind of usually how it works, right? And I think so many people think, there are some struggles and some fights. I didn't say it. Grinds. I was going to say grinds, and I didn't want to get.
You did anyways.
Right. So I think there's some struggles and go through it, but a lot of time in the championship deals, you're just kind of in the zone and going after it, right? I mean,
with the rules being so broad, or I shouldn't say broad, there really isn't much rules on the cars or chassis, so you can go all over the map with them cars, and I think that's what happens with a lot of straight rail guys is they're just all over the place, and they might run first or second one week and then won't run worth a dang the rest of the year, and we've seen that so many times this year, it's almost like dang poker, they wouldn't hit at all, but that one race that they hit, they won and killed us.
Yeah,
what
just
I mean?
on a razor blade, such a teeter-totter, right? I mean, just so one way or the other, so close.
No doubt. Pig wiring harness. Richard Melantine jumping in here on the chat. He said, best of luck this year. He said he'll do what he can to help you.
Yep.
He's a really good guy, huge supporter of RACE22, huge supporter of a lot of racers around the region.
Good guy.
Helps us out a lot on our race team too. So
absolutely.
Yeah, Southern National Motorsports Park chiming in here talking about this weekend's event. Says it's going to be a great one. Phones are blowing up from fans and drivers, so should be a good turnout for everybody this weekend. Going back to your conversation there a minute ago about setups and stuff. Alex Miller chiming in said that you have to trust what you are trying, and a lot of people are trying to reinvent the wheel. Which kind of goes to what you said, Roger, talking about the people just going up to the Wizard or whatever you said a minute ago.
Well, I mean, there's only so many things we can do here, right? Like work within the box that you got, and then try to make it the best you can.
Right, 100%.
I mean, people don't even know what spindles they have on their car. And they, like these are the things that
they know if they got the $1,000 ones, though. I do know that.
Yeah, right. But I'm not even saying from a financial standpoint, right? Like 90% of the people, if you go, they call here and want a spindle, and you ask them what spindle, they're like, I don't know. I'm like, well, what do you have? I don't know. Okay, we got problems, right? Like you win tons of races, and you don't know whether your spindle's 12 inches tall or 4 inches tall. I mean, like. right? It's interesting to me how some of those things. I bet you know exactly what your spindles are right now. I mean, I think people grab onto the spindle thing because of the billet deal or whatever. But you're surprised how many people really don't know.
Yep, I agree. How old are you now?
24.
24. What are your ultimate goals now? You know, at 24 years old, you know, what are you hoping to accomplish in racing?
Man, I just like to race super late models and have fun. You know, race with my dad, and not necessarily to be like someone, but you know, Bubba Pollard sure is making a name for himself and doing good. You know, so it's pretty neat that what he's doing, and would be cool to do one day. You know.
Right. Have you got to race against him much?
A little bit, yeah. He's run some cars races with us last year, but haven't been able to beat him yet.
That dude's the man.
Not many people get to beat him.
That's right.
I mean, he's the man.
He can win anywhere he goes.
He manipulates the car so. I mean, he. Good
super
God.
or late model
right,
stock.
that's what I'm saying. He drives the race car. He's amazing, that guy.
And he puts great setups on cars.
Right. But even when he's not good, but even when I've been to Pensacola, when he's not good, right, and he's still like, you think, oh, he's done. There's no way. And then next thing you know, he went, what the hell did he come from?
I mean,
right?
Look at Martinsville last year.
Right.
I mean, in testing, he was terrible. In practice, he was
stupid.
terrible. And then, man, here he comes.
He just works on it and works on it.
Well, this last year, Laura was driving David Rogers' car. I mean, that's not the car don't win every race or nothing, but he got in it.
Yeah, pretty much won
it
them all.
picked up real good.
It don't win any, I don't think, before that.
Not
like
really.
in a long
Not
time.
recently.
Yeah, in a long time. I'm not
got some age on him.
Yeah.
He was impressive at Martinsville for sure.
For sure.
I mean, the late model stocks they're different, and they're a little different to drive and all. And I was kind of curious how he's going to run, and he was impressive.
And from what I understand,
he's a driver.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, you better say he put his own.
Yeah.
The last setup was on it was.
Yeah. Jamie Elton had told me, he was like, you know, he came into the media center, or I went out to him. I can't remember exactly, but he's like, I don't know. He said he's working on it now, so we're gonna figure. And he worked on it, and he figured it out.
Yeah.
I mean, no doubt about it. Him and Lee Malone worked very closely together there, and man, they got that thing rolling. So. Definitely, you got to give props to a guy who can jump into anything. I mean, you know, just like him going to the Oxford 250 last year. I mean, that's just amazing. I mean,
just a driver, man. He's just a driver. I like how laid back he is, though.
Yeah,
that's my biggest thing that I'm amazed.
Well, he wasn't all that laid back after him and Lane Riggs got there.
Well, no, I didn't mean laid back. Let me rephrase. I like how laid back he is away from the racetrack.
Right.
Meaning he's, you know what I mean? He's pretty laid back.
Like, well, even after that thing at Martinsville, we was over there when they had the car jumped beside the wall over. Me, him, and Jamie and Big Jason was talking and just cutting up laughing, and he's just a cool dude, man.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's a pretty cool dude, right? Just grabs a beer and hangs out. And
I don't think he really fits in with that crowd, though. Just go ahead and say it.
Wow.
Jamie and Big Jason. No, he fits in good with Big Jason, though.
Well, everybody, you
Not
have,
Jamie.
you have
Nobody
no choice
fits in
but to
good
fit
with
him.
Jamie.
You have no choice but to fit him good with Big Jason.
Right. Yeah, he'll make sure of that. Yeah. No doubt about it. But I'd say that's a pretty good guy to aspire to be like.
Yeah.
I mean, he can go anywhere and win, and I mean.
Yep, kind of like my pops did, you know. I mean, he raced in Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and North Carolina, you know. So to be able to go all over and win and do good, you know, it's definitely something special and something to look forward to.
Other than trying to go to maybe Pensacola, any other plans you have, you know, maybe not necessarily this year, but in the future that you're kind of, you know, planning out now?
No, not really. You know, it's tough. You know, racing's expensive, so to do what I do now, I'm just very lucky and fortunate, you know, so just to try to enjoy it as much as I can while I got it.
Gotcha.
Who helps you?
That's one thing I've seen about you. You talking about little kids and beating and banging. You take care of your equipment. I've seen a lot of places where you could have stuck it in there, but you didn't because, you know, we want to fix this thing.
That's right.
You know.
And I learned that a long time ago racing late models, man. You're not going to win the race knocking the nose off the cars. I don't care what you're racing, limited car or late model stock or super, you know what I mean? So that's one thing I learned is if we're going to have a shot at winning this race at the end, we've got to have all four fenders on it and the tires pointing in the right direction. So
absolutely.
I kind of remember that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, in order to win, you're going to have to be in a position to be able to actually finish the race.
Well, there's probably a guy on the radio telling you to remember that a lot, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's been there and done that with a little bit of everybody. So, all right. Well, you got anything else for him here?
No, I know he gets a lot of help from a lot of people, and you know, sometimes a lot of little people can add up to what y'all got to do, and I just want to make sure you give everybody that helped you out a shout out for whatever you need.
Yeah, definitely got to give Brandon Risley a big shout out for helping us out a lot, and helping us run all the cars races and doing it again this year. And then my dad, of course, William Gunner helps us out a lot at the racetrack. Phil Johnson, Jeff Day, Richard helps us out. Schoenfeld Headers.
Mom.
Yeah, my mom. So
that was the most important.
Yeah, don't forget that.
Wow, that'd be rough.
Yep. So I'm sure I'm missing a few, but that's.
We got a local guy there, ADI PDM, Chad. He helps us a lot.
Yeah, a lot of little people, help us.
Richard Mellentime.
Richard helps us a ton. All that stuff adds up, and really.
That's what it takes.
That's right.
I mean, there's no way you could do it without
no
people
way.
like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, unless you just got an unlimited checkbook.
Yeah,
I don't believe you got one of those.
No. Haven't hit the lottery yet.
Do you play?
Not as much as he does, but
yeah, he knows how to win.
Yeah. He's planning on moving on up.
I'm looking for that retirement.
He keeps talking about a fishing boat.
There you go.
You can't be getting fishing boats while you're still racing.
Nah, we saw what happened in the last one that did.
Right. All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on tonight. Good luck this weekend at Southern National. Hopefully it'll be a lot of cars there. I think he said 22 were already pre-registered, so should be a hell of a show down there at Southern National.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Excited to get back racing. So, thanks for having me, and appreciate it.
Yep. Thank both of you guys for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Continue the conversation here with my co-host. Roger and Corey over here. We co-host. I don't know what we should call
bully
you guys.
Everybody.
Yeah, it's
just
fun.
Noticed. Have you noticed
it's
that
fun.
he's a bully? He
It's
thinks
fun.
he's a bully.
It's fun. I mean, it's fun.
It makes him feel better about himself.
And I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
I just
fun.
wanted to know.
My
son's been explaining to me he's going through these classes about bullying. So now
they have classes on it.
Yeah,
now?
it's terrible.
We used to have a class. You just punch him in the mouth.
It ended the whole thing.
Yeah, then they didn't get bullied no more.
Yeah, we can't do that anymore. We can't act like barbarians.
Yeah, we.
Langley acts like a barbarian every day.
I still think it serves the purpose pretty good.
Yeah, I like Jared Fryar. I appreciate them guys. They work pretty hard on their stuff.
Absolutely.
I've seen him.
Yeah,
dude, I've seen him trying to get parts and scratch parts and looking for housings and building his own. I mean, just unbelievable, right? So I think people need to know how big that really is. Him winning that Cars Tour deal. I think that was a big gig.
Absolutely. Anytime a small team, wins something that big, it's got to be special. And our next guest here, Greg Moore, he did just that last year. If I can get my producer to jump over here and actually turn on the mic, we'll be ready to go here.
Hey, why don't you turn on that mic right there, the red one?
He's lost in conversation over here. But
Stan, a super fan.
Got Craig Moore here, who won the South Boston Speedway Cars Tour race last November, I believe. Thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Well, I just want to know one thing. Does this officially mean that I've made it? Now that I'm on RACE22 Radio.
I thought you made it last year when I put you on the power rankings.
I actually think you made it win the race. Now your careers just went down.
Yeah, this is a step down from winning at South Boston.
Yeah.
No, hey, look, I'm really grateful y'all guys asked me to be on tonight. It's an honor, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate making the drive.
Well, hey, look, it was my wife. She's been babysitting my little boy is almost 6 months old now, and that's been a real adjustment for us. And she needed a break tonight, so I told her I'd bring her with me.
Wow.
What
a guy.
Yeah.
What a guy you are, right?
Yeah.
Just leave the baby
how
back
sweet.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say, Corey. I don't know how good my babysitter, my mother-in-law, is going to like me when I get home about 12 o'clock tonight.
Right,
yeah.
right. In an Uber.
Pretty good ride for you down here?
Do it.
Pretty good ride for you down
It's
here?
about 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I figured that.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess I got to head your way Wednesday. I'm on podcast.
Yeah,
with,
Smokey Dave's.
Yep, it's Smokey Dave's. I'm looking forward to that. Y'all can see I like barbecue. So
Well, I tell you what, he's really doing well with his business. I'm really ecstatic for him that he's and I said I'm not going to say and well and this that and other, but it's so hard till you get started and get wound up here. He's doing a great job.
We are not professionals.
No, I'm definitely not. He's doing a great job with his business, and I'm really happy for him. He actually is engaged to my first cousin to get married. He's a very lucky guy. She's a lucky girl, and they're doing really good, man.
Is this the bologna burger thing?
Yeah, the bologna
burger.
podcast.
Yeah, I see. Okay,
Yep,
I just wanted to make sure,
yep.
so people know where to look for it. Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, I believe they make bologna burgers there too.
That will be the entree of your choice. Will be, I think, bologna or barbecue.
I'm getting there early to get whatever. I don't know.
It's all good.
I'm not going for a bologna burger. I just go ahead and tell you.
It's all good.
Have you seen those pictures that he posts of the ribs and the brisket and all that? Good.
I had never checked that out till the other day. I watched a couple of them, or I think he had two videos up. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
They do a pretty good job.
Well, I tell you what, Smokey Dave has he's been sponsors for the last couple of years too, and he's my fuel sponsor for the Cars Tour. Great guy, man.
Nice.
Yeah. He seems to be a great guy, involved in the barbecue relief charity.
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Operation Barbecue Relief.
Yep,
yeah,
that's it.
He's all into that.
Yep, for sure. And I'll be on with another one of your sponsors. The host of the show is Stephen Dunn.
Correct. Yeah,
Graphic Solutions.
Yeah, Graphic Solutions, GXX Wraps, and Stephen's been with me for going on 3 years now, and he's stuck with us through the bad times, man. Because we had a lot of bad luck, mechanical failures, and just really crappy luck, man. You know. But I feel like now we're finally trying to get everything going the right direction here.
Yeah, you got things going in the right direction last November. Tell us about that race, man. I mean, it had to be special for you.
Well, I'm going to back up one race before that at Orange County because, we had a crappy year up to that point. We had a bunch of mechanical failures, just bad luck. We had a good run going at Hickory, got touched up in the wall a little bit and knocked the toe out real bad. And at Orange County, we stood on the pole with a Chevy crate motor, and I thought, I thought we had a shot to win it, but at the end of the race, my car got extremely tight, and the crate just died out, So, moving on, we finished third in that race, which we would have finished fourth. Ronald dropped out. Ronald had a heck of a run going, and he lives 5 minutes from me where I live. And, the thing about it was I think we had a car capable of winning the race, but the car got snug. We maintained a lot of forward drive, but we just couldn't get off the corner. Just let the motor die down. So long story short, move on to South Boston. We rented a motor from Eric Winslow at Midnight Performance, and it was a Brian Tanner's doing my motors this year, and it was a Harrington Enforcer, and we knew right then something was a little bit different, man, because we were able to maintain forward drive and get off the corner, but it just didn't bog down. Look, I'm a Chevy crate guy. I've been a crate guy for years and years because I did my own motors. I built my own car. I mean, I get all the deal of saving money and doing your own thing, but it comes a point where, you're dealing with the best of the best here, man. And I'm not taking anything. South Boston, Myrtle Beach, you got, if you win a late model stock race this day and age, I don't care where it's at. You're doing something. And, and that's why I say, people talk about the Cars Tour is awesome. You got the best of the best, the most elite drivers. South Boston, same way. Philip Morris, Peyton Sellers, all those guys. But the thing about it is, you can't show up to these races 50 or 60 horsepower off, man. No. But don't get me wrong, I say that, and then at Kinley this coming up weekend, you might have a guy win a race with a crate motor because the track is so slick.
Right.
Look at Myrtle Beach. Yeah. Look at Myrtle Beach. The first races down there, crates won 2 of them.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I think at South Boston, a game changer for us was putting the Harrington in. South Boston was a track with a ton of grip. It's new asphalt, it's smooth, and you can really lay the power down. Now, for this to Kinley, we went and tested last Tuesday, and with the Harrington in, we're spinning pretty good. So, do we have enough car for all the motor? I don't know, man. Do we have enough brakes? I don't know. Like I said, that's a whole other conversation.
No, for sure. But it's something I'm glad to hear you say it right? Like nobody drew that from you. I'm glad to hear you say that because those are some of the things that some of the guys that are really influential in the sport are starting to bring up in the conversation that hey, these things are going to happen down the road. We need to start looking at these things here so that we could get ahead of this. So I applaud. I also think those are going to be some problems.
Well, and I talked to Greg Marlowe here the other week. I mean, me and him become pretty decent friends, through the Cars Tour. And, and I've got a lot of friends that I have acquired through the Cars Tour. I mean, the Cars Tour is, I'm not going to say it's made me because, look, man, my 2 championships at Orange County were very meaningful to me. Right. And, I wouldn't take anything for those. I love Orange County.
Right.
And the thing about it is, Cars Tour, though, like winning that race at South Boston, have I got a lot more feedback and a lot more interest? And now I'm crew chief in a car at South Boston. I've got somebody maybe interested in renting one of my cars to race a few times this year. Do I think that stemmed from the Cars Tour? Absolutely. So the notoriety's there. But, going back to what me and Marley were talking about, a simple upgrade with a brake caliper. I mean, that's something that could bolt right into what we've got, not cost you a lot of extra money.
Right.
it's little things like that I think we're going to have to wind up updating.
I just prefer they slow y'all down a little bit. I just don't think there's a need to go buying anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
you mean
trust me. I agree.
I just want to clearly define. You mean motor wise or what? Yeah. I'm okay with that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wish things would have worked out. Where the car store would have been using those restrictors this year with the pucks. You know, as they were planning on doing before NASCAR announced their rule changes.
Well, in my opinion, with the whole car store NASCAR thing, I'm totally on board with everybody being the same.
Right.
If you've got, the Harrington's the same, the spec motor's the same, and the Ford's the same, then they all need to be the same. Because everybody needs to be able to interchange without, But like I said, we've already drove the cost up so far. I totally agree. Look, I was a 350 carburetor guy. You just wanted to stay with that.
Sure.
I didn't like it because we put a 500 on a 350 motor and blew it up.
I like 350 racing better anyways. I thought it was better back then.
I know.
Myself.
I agree totally. I mean, like I said, I built my own car.
Yeah, but we got go-karts now.
We're practically super late models now. We got so much horsepower.
I don't
Except you ain't got no brakes.
I think you got no brakes, and everybody's damn near solid on the front.
Sure.
I mean, let's face it. It's a go-kart. Like when I first bought this place and we clipped cars, you didn't hear customers say, "Holy cow, what has happened?" I'm going to tell you what has happened. You're sitting on bump stops, hard as you could sit on them, and the clip and the chassis become a spring.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what's happening. Everybody wants to ride harder, and the racetracks are rougher, and we're just beating the dog out of it, and it just gets to where it's done. That's why when you clip a car now, it makes a difference.
Well, like I said, my point is, we're sitting there, we had 430, 440 horsepower. Now we're right there around 500 or 500 plus. Yeah. So, you're getting in the corner harder. Like you say, it goes back to exactly what Roger said. That's more load on a chassis. That's less time a chassis is going to last.
Yep.
So, once again, you're driving that expense up also.
I think that's the one thing that, hasn't really come up. People are running cars for a couple of years. That was people used to buy used cars. Oh, this thing's 2 years old. This thing, great. But the cars that are 3 years old now are so angry and are trying to break at every weld, and not because the steel got any worse.
That's right.
Not because the welding got any worse.
They're loaded.
Right? They're pissed.
Yeah, they're
right?
loaded.
They are mad, and they're trying to rip everything that they can off each other. That's just it, right? So
I mean, you're talking to the guy that goes and cuts my down bars loose,
right?
Cuts my rear bars loose, and just lets them relax and weld them back together.
Right.
Just trying to get more time and more life out of my car.
Sure. I just think that's another big thing that we're going to start running into. I think it's going to drive the cost up, and it's one of the things that we don't see. I mean, we're going to this spindle because we don't want to. Right, no we don't want the deflection, right? Which I think is amazing, right? So we don't want the spindle deflection.
I'm not on that yet, by the way.
And we're not. So what we're going to do is we're just going to move.
You got to save up for that.
Yeah. Let's move the deflection somewhere else.
Right.
Right. Let's put it in the lower now.
So it all goes back to what Langley said: make them slower.
Right. I think that's right. And Langley, I like Langley's idea of a way to do it tire wise, but we agree on that a lot. I think you just take all the tire away. Yeah.
We'll get there.
Well, I think the number was 440 or 450 on the horsepower because the Chevy Crate would have been competitive at that number.
Yeah.
I think they just
why
stopped.
we got to 500? I don't understand why we got to 500.
But the one thing I would like to have seen though, and it worked in super racing, so I'm not saying it wouldn't work or it will work in this late model stock car racing, but I do like the restrictors if you want to.
Right.
He's talking about, man, which motor do I run? Because when I go here, I'm spinning.
That's
and
right.
When I go, fine. So in the super deal, what we did was when we were spinning, we put 1.1s in it, or we put 1-inch spacers in it, or restrictors. So that's the one thing that I think it still gives you the reliability of the crate motor. But that's one thing I would like to see. And the coolest part is it would bring another facet to the game, because the interesting part about spacers is spacers usually you have to give in qualifying to win in the race, or vice versa. And I think that brings another element to some of the racetracks that could play a pivotal role. Do you at Myrtle Beach for the 400 now? Do you go all out because in qualifying you need all you can get to try to? I don't know.
Well, it's almost to the point you need 3 motors. You need a crate for Myrtle Beach. You need a spec for here. You need a Harrington or a Ford, either one. But a guy like me, from a cost standpoint, I can't do a Ford. I mean, everything I got Chevrolet.
Right.
So, you know, then I got to change all this other stuff to run a Ford. So, like, you know, what?
Right. And I guess they'll eliminate the crate at the end of this year.
Right.
That's
not going to be the problem.
That's the plan. I don't know whether that'll actually happen or not.
That's right, yeah.
I mean, I talked to one promoter who told me that there was no chance in hell that he would eliminate the 604 because that's the most of what he has.
But you know, Dominion, and I don't know if you guys saw this, but Dominion put a set of rules out, their own rules, their own Saturday night rules, and their Saturday night rules, the Chevy crate can change the camshaft and valve springs, and the steel head built motor, which is totally obsolete, can run a 650 4-barrel. So, you know, like, I'm not saying I'm not saying
What?
it.
Literally,
is that what he said?
Yeah,
really?
I'm not saying it's the, yeah. Look on.
I don't know.
I never heard that one.
Look on their website. I'm not saying it's the answer to everybody's problems.
That'll be a headline on RACE22 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's good times right there.
I'm not saying it's the answer, but like I say, there's probably some guys out there. Look, I just built a brand new car for my cousin. Okay, he's just like me. He doesn't have a lot of money, and he wants to race, you know. And the thing about it is, he can go. He lives 10 minutes from Orange County, and he's got a steel head built motor. So we had a rules meeting in Orange County, and I told them the same identical rules package that Dominion put out. And they haven't posted anything on the internet yet, so I can't say that's what they're going to do. I hope that's what they do, because there's probably guys sitting around that may have a steel head built motor that may come run a Saturday night race that can afford running on 2 tires, or you know what I'm saying. And
right. Yeah, that'd be very
look, I'm all for increasing car count at the local tracks. Because I mean that's the backbone of all this.
I'd never turn away a race car. Like when Langley was up at Franklin County, and the guy said, "Well, this motor, so I don't care. Bring it up here. I can always make it go slower."
Yeah, we'll find a way.
I can't make it go faster.
I was just really bummed out. I didn't get to come race while you were running that, man. I really wanted to, but it just didn't work out. Yeah, it just didn't work out. But I wanted to. That looks like a fun racetrack.
It's like
interesting.
A lot of people compare it to Orange County. I don't see it that way, but a lot of people compare it.
It's like the corners are tighter.
So I'd say you'd be really good.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So
yeah, I like Hickory, man. I love Hickory myself, but you know that's a old slick, wore out racetrack. But
yeah,
it's got a lot of prestige.
Yeah, I mean Hickory's got to be fun to run. I mean not just from the standpoint of how historic it is and how hallowed grounds almost that you're at there, but the racetrack itself looks really cool to race on. I mean. Plenty of good bumps to hit.
It's got a lot of characteristics to it, yeah, for sure.
A lot of character. Yeah.
You race at South Boston, you won. At what point in the race did you say, man, this thing is on point today? Because you pretty much killed him.
I tell you what, man, with about, I talk, like, Deke is one of the nicest, upstanding guys there is in racing, and I'm so glad his wife is doing better. I reached out to Deke, and sent prayers to his wife, and anyway, with Deke, he could have hit me right there at the end. But after we got stretched out and Deke knew this, we pulled back away from him. And we pulled a little probably, we may have done stuff a little bit different from some other people in that race. And I knew it. I knew by watching that race the year before, and I'm sure y'all saw the same thing, Deke got on the high side. And I knew in my mind that at the end of that race, if we could get on the high side, then it would take Deke's line away, which he told me after the race it did, and we could probably win the race. But, about halfway through the race, when we could sit right there in the top 3 or 4, and I could tell, the car wasn't going away. It was just staying right there. We had enough motor. I felt then we had a shot at it. But, the thing about the Cars Tour, and I know all you guys know it, it's almost like Cup, man. Like, there's a lot of luck involved. The car's got to fall your way. Cautions, track position. Guys gonna fall out. Look how many I fell out. You know.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, like, I just don't think there's one guy gonna go dominate.
No, but I always tell people, the local Saturday night track, say you got 20 cars racing there, there's 3 guys that's going to go for the win. The rest of them are there to have fun.
That's right.
Cars Tour race, there's 11 cars that might win the race.
Yeah, me and a guy were talking about that the other day, and he said, there's 12 good cars, or maybe even more, 15, that's capable of winning that race. And I'm telling you, it's like, in my opinion, like Cup. It's just all strategy.
Yeah, of the 17 they have registered for the season, I would say that any one of those 17 could win any race.
Well, I'm honored that they put us back in that Touring 12 again, because that, like Jack said, that's between $5,000 and $7,000 swinging money, and for a guy like me, that's huge. To know I'm guaranteed so much money to show up, and just like at Kingsport, we had that rear brake. He told me, he said, "Man, just get out there and make one lap. We're going to give you this, your $1,000 for starting." It was a bummer that all that happened, but at least we got something back.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, and like I say, look, I'm underfunded from a point of I don't spend as much money as some of the really, really big teams that spend a lot of money.
Sure.
But I'm thankful to have the sponsors I've got are good, and we got enough money to get to the racetrack, on Saturday and stuff. And
yeah. You've got a lot of sponsors that have been with you for quite a while, and you've picked up some new ones over the last couple of years, like Kingsport. I don't know if they're still on.
Visit Kingsport. They came back on with us this year, man. I know they're kind of bummed out we're not going back to Kingsport, but Frank Lett with the tourism division has been awesome guy to do partner with us, and we got Durham Mechanical Service that came on with us out of Durham, North Carolina. We got the Volt Doctors out of Bahama. That's he's on the quarters this year, so I'm hoping that's going to be a really good partnership with him, Andy Clark, and like I say, of course, Steve at GXX Wraps and Graphic Solution. He's been with me for 3 years, and he comes to the race with us on Saturday and stuff. And Smoky Days Barbecue, Sharon's Tire Service. I'm gonna go and plug them all in right now, so we can go and get it done. Go and get it done, yeah. And Tanner Automotive, man, for the race engines. Like I say, I've done my own motors. I worked with Charlie Hempfield, a guy in Durham. I don't know if y'all remember him, but I worked with him for like 2 or 3 years just to learn how to do this stuff. And this has been several years. I've been racing for a while, man. So like, I'm just an Orange County guy, but I've been racing. But I did all that to learn. As far as like building a car, man, I fixed me a jig and fixed me a car, and I've kind of got. I fixed one more for my cousin, and like I said, that may be it for me. I'm kind of getting burnt out on that, and it's too much time, and I don't do it. I'm not set up like you are here. Roger's set up. He's got everything. I have to do everything as one of. And I've got a brand new A&E car and A&E race cars over there. They've no offense to you, Roger.
No, it's no offense at all.
They're like 20 minutes from me, and Alan Earl over there has been good to me, and so they've helped me out a lot also. Yeah,
absolutely. Setup work, you mentioned it earlier, doing setup work, working on some guys' cars. Daniel Moss, is that the one you were talking about?
I did him and Chuck Lawson at the end of the year at Orange County. And Chuck, it'd been a while since Chuck had won, and we finally got him. He had a problem with an issue with one of his cars, and we got him in the car that Daniel had run limited. And he wound up winning the last late model race at Orange County, which was a heck of a race between him and Josh Oakley. I mean, they ran side by side for probably 30 or 40 laps.
Wow.
And Chuck prevailed, and it was a really good race. And I helped Chuck and Daniel, our crew chief Daniel. He won a late model championship at Orange County. This year he's going to try to run for the late model championship at the limited championship at South Boston. Gotcha. So I'm actually going to keep his car in house at my place this year and do his whole deal.
And I believe you've been doing a little bit of setup work for Jason Worsing, I believe.
I do have Jason's car. Yes, I have. I'm putting a. He's putting a Dodge.
Surprised you, I knew that.
Did you see that?
He's putting a. I'm putting a Challenger body on his car for him. He's finally going to run something other than the Camaro.
Yeah, that Camaro's been hard to beat though.
I know, right? Yeah.
You got a lot to live up to. Making sure this one runs.
I know.
So, got a bunch of people chiming in on here. One most recently, Bobby McCarty chimed in, said seeing Craig win South Boston was the coolest thing I've seen in a while. Much respect and love racing with him.
Yeah, Bobby's a class act guy. And I told Bobby right before the race started, I said, look, I respect you. I know you're running for the championship, and I just want to let you know I got your back if there's anything I can do. And I think that went a long way with him. Because, look, man, I wanted to win the race, of course, but I wasn't going to interfere with him for his championship. I know what the big picture is there. And all the championships I won at Orange County, for some reason, like every championship I won at Orange County, and it happens like this every year at Orange County, they get like more rainouts than anybody.
Especially last year.
Yeah. But every year it always winds up, the last race is like, quadruple points, twin races.
Yeah.
And you're like
That's my favorite kind.
Yeah, you're like your whole season hinges on this one night. But anyway, that's the way it goes. And I'm not knocking Orange County or the racetrack. It's due to rainouts. But Bobby's he's a really good guy, and I'm really glad they won the championship.
Heather Riggs chimed in, said that you are a true short track racer, works and builds his own cars most of the time by himself. Those racers are hard to come by nowadays with all the paid rides and drivers, especially young ones who just show up on race weekends who hardly ever turn a wrench.
Well, like I say, man, winning that South Boston race, it meant a ton to us because, we do work hard. I got a Dusty Wall, and, we dedicated that South Boston race to Alf Wall, which was Dusty's dad that passed away. Mm-hmm. And he's been with me for the last 2 years, man. And he's like crew chief, spotter, whatever I need for him to do, man. He's there for me, and he helps me out a lot. And I want to thank my crew, but I'll do that at the end,
Yeah, and Dusty, he's chimed in here, says you're probably the only driver in the tour that builds your own cars from the ground up, builds own spindles, all own sheet metal work, hangs your own bodies. So.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. My wife could probably tell you that she doesn't like it, but because
that's why you brought her on a night out
yeah,
to
that's
Performance
right.
Center,
That's
right? Like
that's right.
that was a win.
Yeah,
and you got her to go for it, right? Like you're the man.
We pull up, and she's like, "Where are we going to, man?"
Right.
No, I'm just kidding.
I thought you said Applebee's. What the?
Yeah. No, she's glad to get out. Like I say, I'm 41 years old, and I like I say, I'm blessed, man, to be working on race cars. I'm blessed to be racing, and I'm blessed to have a beautiful boy that's 6 months old now. But then again, I'm 41, and my patience is not like it would have been if I was in my 20s when I had a baby. I'll go ahead and tell you that now. But like I say, I'm blessed, man. My mother-in-law helps us to take care of him. My mom helps. Her grandmother helps. So we've been fortunate, but we couldn't find anybody to commit full time to keep him. So it come to a point where you have to you weigh daycare versus her just staying at home. So here I am now. I run my own business. I do mechanic work for a living. I work on race cars as much as I can.
Sure. But
that don't pay all the time. So I work on cars, trucks, tractors, lawnmowers, whatever I got to do. I got a garage at my mother's house where I do a mechanic business, and that's what I do for a living. And
that was going to be my next question.
Yeah, well, I mean, wheel and deal on Craigslist.
There you go.
I'm all
You're
about
right up his alley
man.
now.
I'm all about the hustle.
My list, bro. That's right.
I tear that thing apart.
Yeah, that's right.
You can make extra $5-6 grand a month on there. That's awesome.
But the problem is now, man, it's like people make a living on there. Like,
oh yeah.
You see a good deal pop up, and within minutes it's gone.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that marketplace is worse.
Yes. You have to
I
set
dated
your
a girl.
filters correctly.
I dated a girl a long time ago, and her parents every Friday night they ride around and look at yard sale posters, and they go out and buy yard sale stuff, and they made like $80,000 a year selling crap again.
Correct.
Reselling it.
I guarantee it.
Yes, I've heard you could do this.
There's a lot of money in flipping.
I have
a lot of money in that.
I've heard you could do this.
I've done
it's
it for a
amazing.
long time, but like I say, now you got so many people doing it. It's tough, man.
Yeah.
And now at tax time, it's really hard, man. Like you
I
got to buy
guarantee
and sell at the right time. But
Yeah.
I ain't got to tell you.
Yeah.
So.
No, I don't know anything about anything.
Yeah,
I just
right.
sit over here
Yeah.
and listen to everybody
I'm
talk.
I'm not a dealer, but I'm not a dealer. So let's get that fact straight. I'm not a car dealer. Yeah. No car dealer here.
Not a car dealer, but do sell a few cars.
Right.
Yeah.
Just 7. I think 8's the limit.
Six. Yes.
I couldn't remember. I knew it was close.
Yeah, right.
I knew it was close. I just couldn't remember how many.
Not getting in trouble with the DMV. Hopefully
No, that's
here.
right. No.
I don't sell cars. It's too big.
No title cash sales.
Right. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's too big of a risk for Roger over
Right.
there.
I swim in the bottom, man. I get all the free money on the bottom. Cheap things. You can flip cheap things easy.
Cheap things, something you
Cheap
know a
things.
lot about.
Yes. That's why I'm hanging out with you.
That was a good one. What's your expectations for 2019? I mean, after winning that race, man, I mean, you got to be going into 2019 really expecting some good
we're excited, man. I feel like we definitely got everything going the right direction on the car. We're probably gonna try to go test again tomorrow. We went last Tuesday and got a couple issues with some stuff, but we haven't been to the track in 3 or 4 months, so try to get all the bugs worked out because I'm thinking practice may get rained out Friday. It's a good possibility.
Looks like.
So we're going to try to go back tomorrow. We wanted to make sure it was good and cold, so it's been the 40s tomorrow. So we're going to try to go back tomorrow and make a few laps, put some sticker tires on it, and I feel pretty good about it. I got some times from some guys who've done their Saturday practice, and I feel like we're pretty close. We'll see. I mean, expectation-wise, I think if you can go to the car store and run the top 5 every week, you got a shot at championship. That's how I feel about it, and I think Bobby proved that this year. I mean, he was a solid top 5 car all year.
Right.
He didn't have to win every race.
Right.
I mean, that's what. And look, that's a tall order, finishing in the top 5 in the car store every week.
Well, you mentioned earlier that nobody's going to go dominate the car store.
I don't think so.
I think last year proved that nobody was going to dominate.
No.
I mean, with Lee Pulliam being there and Bobby McCarty,
I do.
being
I think
there.
Josh Berry breakout.
Well, like I say,
I'm serious.
Because I said something, it'll probably be like that.
He's my dark horse of the thing. I think he is.
Can he be a dark horse?
Yeah, because I think he's going to win a bunch of them. I mean, I really do. I think he'll win a bunch of them.
You've been flipping too much stuff over
Yeah.
here.
No, I
Go ahead and tell you.
over the last couple
You
of
done flipped
years,
your wig.
he's
good.
slowly gaining knowledge every time. He's not even in one of my cars. I'm telling you, I think just from watching and talking, I think he's going to be the sleeper of the whole gig, and it makes me annoyed.
I wouldn't call him a sleeper, though, Roger.
I just don't think you can call him that.
I do, because he won, but he didn't beside Hickory in the Cars Tour, he didn't kick everybody's.
You realize in the Cars Tour he has the most all-time wins, right? By 9.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I don't think that'd be a sleeper.
I don't.
He could win every race, and we go, oh, okay.
Yeah, but I think that's what he's going to do. I really
Shooting
think
your whole
he's
thing
gonna,
down here, Roger.
No, I really think that's what he's
Going
going
down
to
in
do.
flames.
I think he's going to. I think he'll. I think he's just
I think
at that point.
I think that Red Bull got to you, man.
No, I believe he's at that. Their whole program, right, is at that point where he's worked and I think it's going to show right here, or he's going to run out of time.
Yeah, I mean,
that's it.
Yeah.
I think he has some sense of urgency. I think you're going to see some stuff happen that you didn't see happen before.
I agree.
Does your car look the same this year?
The car we're going to start the year with will be the blue and gold, like the Pearson car was from the throwback. But I know on the way down here we clicked it on. My wife was trying to listen to it.
Because he has the most badass cars. I love his cars.
Thanks to GXX Wraps and Graphic Solution. That's right.
The last 3 years.
This guy's learning right here. He's on top of it.
Yeah, but you know, we were listening on the way down, and I thought they said you weren't here yet. I don't. Did he get here late?
Oh yeah, he's late.
Wow. Because he harped on me, and I'm not going to announce it yet. But look, the throwback race at Hickory. He's going to be a happy man. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, hell yeah.
You're putting his face on the car?
No.
Corey
LaJoy style.
Don't do nothing like that.
Don't say it, Corey. You know what it is.
Yeah, I won't say. Yeah.
He knows.
There's all sorts of hints I could say, but I won't say.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
That's going to be badass. Most badass one ever.
Yeah, and it's going to be legit too, man. He knows what it is.
Like,
I say,
pit uniform.
Yeah. Hat and everything, man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm still working on Steve though, man, to wear the coat and hat and all that, man. You know, break out the contract.
Breaking news, we got nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing.
Breaking news, we got
That's
nobody.
Exactly
knows
what we got.
anything.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Him and Corey over having a conversation by themselves.
Yeah. It's an inside between me and Corey, man. But Corey give me a hard time after.
Corey is excited though.
He is excited.
It's going to be really cool.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It's going to be an honor to do it. So anyway.
Cool. I always look forward to that.
Yeah, I forgot a couple more sponsors, man. If I can plug them in, I got Main Street Oasis. Smokey Dave's is my he's my gas guy. We got Main Street Oasis out of Oxford, North Carolina, that helps us out too. It's another restaurant that I go and eat on every Monday night. The guy's super cool to me, and
you must have missed that one tonight.
We missed it. Yeah, I'm bummed out, but it's all good. But no, we've got a good friend of mine that runs another garage, Junior Reagan, JR Shop, Quality Welding Service, a Kyle Painter with Steesh Oxford Productions, which is part of the Bologna Burger podcast, and EDH Glazing Contractors, which is Nate Hargis, a guy that's been with me since I started racing. He's like part owner and so on. He's just one of those guys that's been with me forever, and you know, it's just there's a lot of people that help. But you know how it is. Some people they want to help behind the scenes.
Right.
But I also got an awesome crew, man. Justin, my brother-in-law, is my spotter. Steve, like I said, he comes and helps. Rob, the guy that works, his partners with him in his business, he comes and helps. Jack Long, like I say, Nate Hargis, my wife Carly. Who am I missing?
She was waiting for that one.
Who am I missing? Oh yeah, and Kyle Painter and Smokey Dave also. So. It's looking like an awesome year. Smokey Dave also comes to the track. I don't know if Corey's got to eat, but all the officials, you have to come by because he comes and like puts a whole spread out at the track, man. Like it's awesome, man. All the cars officials come and eat with us. Mm-hmm. I still don't get any. I don't get any.
How have I missed this?
Yeah,
because you get there like 2 minutes before the race starts.
No, not a car store race. I don't.
Yeah, no, he's usually there early, man. But like most
early.
Yeah, he's usually there pretty early.
Come on, man. Don't be
trying
to help him.
I don't come to practice anymore. Okay.
Yeah, he's.
We're talking about practice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, God.
Wow.
No, Dave always does it on race day, like right between. Usually it's between qualifying and the race. So you know it's man. He bring like I say it's Sal Boston. He brought a spread and like. All the Nelsons, I mean, like it was so many, but Nelson cooks too. Nelson's they cook.
Troy cooks.
Yeah,
Troy
cooks.
Yeah,
Troy cooks. But like everybody was coming over there, man. It was, I think Deke and his crew ate, man. It was
y'all feeding the whole infield. Racetracks ain't making no money no more.
Well, Dave don't want to take the food home, you know. I mean, this guy's sitting there with ribs and barbecue and like you know you don't see that at a racetrack.
Yeah, no.
My man right here said he's coming. He's coming.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Wednesday. I'll just go ahead and tell you.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, my man said, "Get in my belly." That's right. Yeah. I heard that promo at the beginning, man.
Right.
Yeah, where'd that come from anyway? Did that come from a Ludacris song?
No, that was from Austin Powers. That's it.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, it's also in a Ludacris rap song.
The fact that you know a Ludacris rap song.
Yeah.
Your stock. Yeah. I don't know if your stock went up or down just now. I'm not really sure.
The only reason I know it is look. I'll give you the answer. The only reason I know it is because. As you know, CMT, GAC, none of these people play music anymore.
No.
Right.
MTV Classic does.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, and so like if I'm in the shop working, man, I cut MTV Classic.
I
I
didn't
work
even
all
know
day.
there was an MTV Classic.
Yeah, I'm telling you, check it out. It's music
Not
all
like
day.
putting the car on the jig, listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But look, man, it's like all mostly 90s, 2000 stuff. And like, I dig that old stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm old like you too. So
That's right, yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah. Telling my age, man.
It's the old hour over here.
Yeah.
Mike Bushy said for you not to stay out too late tonight. He's going to be waiting on you in the morning.
I know it, yeah. Yeah, I know it. He was texting me he was messaging me pictures of spindles on the way up here. So Bush is he's a class act, man.
Yeah,
I wish they could get him to work. David, does an awesome job with the Cars Tour on the teching side of it. And I wish Bushy would help him because they would have a killer team between him and Bushy, man. Yeah. Bushy done an awesome job too.
Bushy's got like 2 million things going on.
Man, he's a one man show.
He's tech man over a snowmobile series somewhere.
That's
sure.
right. That's right.
He takes cars all week long.
That's right.
In his sleep, everything else. So, anyways, I think somebody give away your throwback on here, but anyways, I won't mention it. So, in case people missed that.
There you go.
Let's see what other questions I got for you.
In case people
beyond
look at the chat.
Right.
Yeah,
so, beyond the Cars Tour, what you got any other plans to run anything else?
We're going to take it race by race with the Cars Tour. If everything goes good, we may try to wind up running the maybe the South. I kind of want to run the 4th of July race at South Boston, being as we won the Cars race. I feel like we could run good there, so that may be one we try to race, and then. Maybe Martinsville. I don't know. We just see how the year goes.
How excited are you about this 30,000 to win race in Orange?
I'm pumped, man.
Yeah, I figured you would be.
The only thing I'm not pumped about, they're doing some renovations on the track, and nobody can test right now.
Yeah.
So they had some places, in the track that were really bad. So Terry's going in there and patching them up.
And the rumor mill has been running rampant about all that.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard more of it than I have. But
I have not been over there to see it. I know I talked to Terry.
What's some of the rumors?
I ain't even going to talk about that.
Yeah.
What do you mean? This
Hey, you're going to bring it up and then you don't say it?
You mean
that's a conversation between me and Craig, and it doesn't involve you.
Well, the bad thing for everybody.
We just would like to hear what the rumors are.
Yeah.
Well, weather's the main problem.
Right.
And nobody has control over that.
So you're saying the rain?
I think the rain has because
rain's killer on that track, anyways.
It is, and he's got some places that he needs to fix in there, and I think it's probably been bleeding and
seeping, yeah.
But they're working feverishly on it, so I feel like
feverishly.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I think that everything will be fine. Like I said, I'm just kind of bummed out we can't go test, man. So, but I've been told I don't need a test, so whatever, I won't test.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
The racing might be better. We were trying to get Jack to do that.
I gotta ask, who told you that?
I'm not gonna say.
I didn't think you were going to.
No, I'm not gonna say. So they said you can drive that place in your sleep. You don't need any testing.
That's
awesome. They do have a point.
Yeah, I mean, look.
You rent a lap or two.
I love that place, man. And I grew up watching Maurice Hill, Barry Begley, Wayne Parrott. Look, I went over there. That place closed down, in late '70s, early '80s, and opened back up in like '82 or '83. My uncle, which he's passed away now, but my uncle took us over there. When it closed down, it had like weeds in it, like 3 foot tall, and we rode yard carts around there, man. And I was probably like, I don't know, man, probably 4 years old, 5 years old, and you know how it is.
That was it.
Everything went to shit after that, man.
That was it.
Yeah, like my wife, everybody's like, "You think your son's gonna race?" I'm like, "I hope not, man."
Right. That's what I said. No, don't do that.
But look, I say that, and I've already got him one of those short kid carts, like the ones where they run the little Comer motor on.
Yeah.
I got a go-kart track in my backyard, which it's kind of redneck. But
how old did you say he was?
You better hurry and win a bunch more races because you got about 3 more years left.
Yeah, I know. He's 6 months.
I think you're a little early.
But what happened?
3.5 years, we could put him in a quarter midget.
What happened was, man, I got like 6 or 7 racing go-karts. We were riding on a dirt track behind my house, and a guy wanted a full-size cart, and he had a small one, so I wound up doing some bartering.
Yeah.
Yes, I did some bartering. Hey, look, Roger, and then you'd be proud of me. Then I took the Comer motor, put it on Craigslist, and sold it.
Double flip. What's up?
Yeah, because my son will be getting a Predator engine.
Right, won't be ready for it at that point anyway.
He will not be running a
Comer.
Comer. That's right, exactly, bro. Winning.
Right, winning.
That's right.
At where you're at in your career, what's your ultimate goals right now?
Man, we just want to run good in the Cars Tour, man. Look, I would love to say I want to win the championship, but that's a really tall order. A top 5 in cars would be a win for us, man, in the championship. A top 5. If we can run consistent top 5, top 10 all year, I think that's a realistic goal here.
Well, I mean, I think stepping up with the Harringtons, obviously showing you that it'll put you in
that's
that
right.
mix.
That's right. And like I said, I got a brand new A&E car that I've got it powder coated. I've got
that might hurt you a little, but other than that,
yeah. But I've got everything to put it together, man. It's just having time to finish it. So
right.
I got a thrash on it though, because like I said, I got somebody interested in maybe doing a rental deal for 3 or 4 races, and so that would help offset the cost of paying for the new car.
Sure.
So anyway,
gotcha. You guys got anything else for him before we cut him loose?
I'm good.
I think that was a no from Corey when he shook his head there. I think
Corey's happy. He's just happy about the throwback.
Oh,
man.
yeah, he's happy.
I don't know what to ask because I don't know what can get answered and what can't. Right? So
well, you got
secret hand signals.
You've been smacked on the hand.
Right.
You got to have your own.
I don't even know what to say.
With
that's right. That's right. That's right.
Because that's what the people at home want to know. No idea.
No idea. I was also asked, was I going to come by Wednesday? I was also asked, was I going to come by Wednesday? And I told him I was going to try, man. It depends on how we test tomorrow. So,
gotcha. So if you're fast, you're coming by.
I'll come by.
Yeah,
Bologna cast.
You're not
For the Bologna cast.
Bologna Burger Podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Are you coming? Can't make it? What a bummer. You coming? All right.
Oh, yeah. You know she's coming.
She'll be there.
Right.
She's the brains of the operation.
Good deal,
What are you talking about?
Yeah, good deal. Good deal. Yeah.
Right.
Y'all really enjoy it, man. I'm glad y'all are doing it.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad Steven asked us to come over, and looking forward to being on there and talking racing. I mean, God knows I can talk.
Yeah.
Doc, we were sitting here earlier and nobody was here but me and Doc and Kim, and he said, "So is it just us tonight?" I said, "I can talk for probably the next 6 hours without asking y'all anything."
But look, we got 3 traffic jams on the way down here between Greensboro and the other side of Winston.
Yeah.
So
I drove from Greensboro to here in an hour and 4 minutes.
Yeah. You know the deal.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was, man.
Yeah.
What do you got going on over here?
I'm just watching you guys.
Oh, you don't want to join in?
Yeah, no, nobody was here.
Yeah, nobody was here earlier, for sure.
Right.
That's it.
It's a nice place you got here, though, Roger, man. I'm impressed, man. Yeah, I
this is your first time here?
I'd never been here before, yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice, man. Sure is.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We do our best with what we got.
All right, man. Well, good luck this weekend.
Thank you for having me
Southern
on,
National.
man. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it was a pleasure, man. Sure
Absolutely.
Was.
We're glad to have you on.
All right.
Yep.
All right. We're going to get Brandon Pierce to jump up and come over here and be our next guest. He'll join us here in just a second. Got a lot of things going on for the car. Thank you. We're getting ready for this weekend. Big race. Going to be a good one. Greg Moore should be one of the guys in the mix for sure.
We'll see you next weekend,
Roger, what do you think, man? We're 3 guests in now. Had some interesting conversation, man. Does it make you actually want to go to the racetrack?
Yeah, I wish I could afford to, man. Yeah,
could afford to.
Right, it's hard. I didn't.
Right.
The car store didn't walk up and give me passes like they just
I
did you. I'm calling you out on that. By the way,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I do.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I'm glad to see the things that are happening again. I'm glad to see the car store, coming out and promoting their stuff. I think they're good as usual. Jack himself was a big thing to me. That means a lot to me. He didn't send somebody else or didn't send his PR guy.
He's deeply involved.
No, and I know that. I just mean I want other people to understand that this is a man that has a lot of things going on and has things to do, and I think people do understand, but I want the ones that don't to know that, the guy's not making a fortune, but he's busting his hind.
The guy works his butt off. On race day, he's not sitting in a press box entertaining people. He's in the pit. He's at the beginning of pit road with a sign. I'm sitting there talking to him, taking pictures.
I think that's a big thing. I really think people need to be more aware of that. I think that makes his relationship. Plus, I think the Touring 12 deal is such a good thing. What better way to come back and tell your customer base, hey, I stand behind you guys. You guys are my guys. I'm going to give you an extra $5,000 off coming to race with me or back as a credit.
Yeah.
What better way to establish the fact that you believe in the product that your racers are going to put on than with a give back like that, and it being kind of a selectionary process, right? So the interesting part is they get to kind of mold their brand and see who represents them the best, which I think is a win.
Well, with all the T-shirts that Charlie Watson sold, I'm sure they're disappointed he's not coming back.
There you go.
Got another member of the Touring 12 that we'll bring on here now, Brandon Pierce, who will be the newest driver for Lee Pulliam Performance this year. Lee not running the full tour. taking a step back. Going to be on the pit box for Brandon. Brandon, appreciate you coming to the show tonight, man.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, definitely wanted to get you on. I mean, obviously, last year you were in the mix pretty much, every race. Got you a win at South Boston in a car store event and a NASCAR sanctioned event, and then come so close at Orange County to being able to get your first car store win, finishing second behind Deke McCaskill, which, I mean, at Orange County or Southern National or anywhere, finishing second to Deke's almost like a win.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there at the end of the year, was kind of smiling about listening to Craig talk. Me, him, Deke, and Lee, we all put on a heck of a show there at South Boston. I'd say the last 25, 30 laps of that race. I know there's some footage and even some photos of us all going in 2x2, 5, 6 laps in a row, and, nobody hit. It's great racing. And somebody like Deke, kind of like Craig said, where Deke could have, drove it in on him a little bit. I could have done the same that night at Orange County, but he's such a stand-up guy. I wasn't going to win my first one that way.
Right.
Not gonna win any of them that way. I race everybody how you race me. So if you got by me clean, then I'm gonna return the favor. If it's on the other foot, then and I need to nudge you, then I'll do that as well. But I try to race everybody and hold myself honest to how they race me. So the night against Phillip. He had used me up a little bit to get by me early on, going hard as he always does, the king. So when I got back to him, I gave him a little nudge there to get by him. But, he was one of the first people to the car to congratulate me on that one. So no cooler thing for me growing up watching him race than for him to be to the car to tell me I did a heck of a job that night.
Well, one of the great things about Phillip, and I've heard this from, like, every racer, they said, he will knock the crap out of you, but if you knock the crap out of him, he ain't going to say a word about it. He's just, okay, that's racing. We're good. You know what I mean? And that's one great thing about racing against him because, I mean, and obviously being able to beat a guy like that, man, I mean, that's tall stuff right there,
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was very special to me, and it was kind of like I had finally taken care of what I felt like was some unfinished business, of course, before joining the tour for the full-time last year. I'd ran at South Boston, full-time, and had come close a couple times to getting a win there and just couldn't ever really, put all the pieces to the puzzle. And so to finally get it done that night, it was very special. Almost won the first race that night. I actually finished second to Peyton and had a good shot to win that one. But very, very cool to win it there and to beat the King was really special as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we move on to 2019, last year you were with Nelson Motorsports. Obviously one of the top teams, if not the top team, in late model stock car racing over the last, year and a half, 2 years, 3 years maybe. Tell us about what it was like to, work with Timothy Peters and David Triplett and Marcus Richmond and, being alongside, Bobby McCarty.
Yeah, I have nothing but, a lot of love and gratitude to everybody involved with that organization. I'm nowhere near naive enough to even try to shy away from it. I'm only where I'm at now because of everything that those people have done for me, along with everybody on my side of things supporting me to be able to race. So all the success that I've had up to this point, 110% goes to everybody over there. They were great people to work with. Obviously, Timothy Peters and David Triplett being former drivers themselves, right. Having that knowledge there and having them in my corner, especially somewhere like Orange County. When I had such success the first race there this year, that was all to, a lot of Triplett. He worked with me a lot leading into that race. So, it was really cool to work with Marcus as well. He's got so much love for the sport, for racing in general. The guy's a winner. I think anybody that's been around him knows that. He loves nothing more than to win, and he hates to lose. The guy's a very fierce competitor and really, really good at his craft. And so it was really cool. Actually, that night at Orange County, he was in my ear. So, that was pretty cool for me. And when we came really close, our first night getting to work with each other, going to victory lane. So, and then, of course, having Bobby to lean on over there as well, he did a lot for me. Bobby's a heck of a wheelman himself, doesn't need any,
Absolutely.
Explanation there. So, he helped me a lot, in my 3 years over there, as well. But I would say for sure, being able to go, I could go to him as, for sure. But, I leaned on David Triplett and Timothy a lot, because, and rightfully so, Bobby was trying, he's out there trying to win races as well. And he had a heck of a year last year. So, was really happy to see the organization win. I know, all the hard work that went in throughout the organization on all the cars, and a very deserving group, and was really happy to see him win it.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a deserving group. And, you were right there with them, all season, run really good. I mean, you didn't get a win in the car store, but, you run right up front week in and week out. And when you went to Martinsville, you were the standout above everybody else. And that had to be a really good feeling for you going into Martinsville and having that kind of run.
Yeah, it really was. I had actually seen Corey that weekend, and he was joking around.
Sorry.
I'm not going to say where we were.
Yeah, he was joking around with me a little bit. He's like, man, this place kind of always been your Achilles heel. You got it going on this weekend. And we were fast right off the truck, after all the rain and everything. We finally got to get on track. I knew we had a really good piece under us that weekend. And, we kind of pretty much dominated our heat race and took care of my equipment, and then just rode up front with Josh and Phillip and all those guys, pretty much throughout the first 60-70% mark of the race, and then stuff kind of started getting excited. So long story short, I told everybody, I think I told I know you guys and Corey, one more restart. I felt like probably could have had a chance at the clock, but then on the other hand too, one more restart and my stuff might not have been rolling. So I took the third place and was blessed, and it's back to clock hunting another time. So
yeah.
What do you think's been the thing? I mean, you're the breakout driver this year, most improved driver. And I've told you, and I ain't scared to say it. When you first come on, I said, "Who's this kid?" And I said, "Hell, I don't think he's gonna make it, man," because it wasn't the greatest in the world right there, But you've learned your turnaround. What do you credit that to?
Honestly, just for people who don't know, I came straight into 3 years ago into full body stock car straight out of dirt go-karts. No pure stock, no limited, no nothing. Just straight in. So really, and I think it's easy for everybody to say, but being my hardest critic, going to guys, your Philip Morris, your Lee Pulliam, your David Triplett, your Timothy Peters, and asking for advice. The worst thing they're going to tell you is no. Right. And so leaning on those guys and watching. And then, I really started, accessing, what I was doing wrong and trying to see where I was getting beat and watching a lot of film and just doing a lot of studying and doing stuff away from the racetrack, and trying to get better and going back and seeing, how the track was that time or looking at notes and just doing anything and everything I could to try to get better. Last year, as, you guys have stated, I think it was a very big turnaround. I think for myself, after coming off of the last full-time year at Sobo, I had a lot of fire under me to want to go in and felt like I needed to prove myself some last year, and I felt like I was able to do that. Last year was a success. It wasn't as successful as we wanted it to be, but just trying to stay hungry. I think the little bit of success that I have had has fueled that fire in me even more to say, okay, well, challenge yourself the next step. What's next?
Yeah, of course.
And keeping expectations reasonable, but never really setting capping it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on to this year, 2019, you're with Lee Pulliam Performance. You come in with the swag on already, ready to go. What's that been like so far? And I don't know if you guys have been to track to test yet or not, but what's it been like working with Lee so far?
It's, I guess the easiest way to put it, at first you kind of had to pump the brakes, and step back and appreciate it. Getting to work with a 4-time national champion, you don't get to say that every day.
No.
So that's been – it's been pretty I'm trying to find the word for it. Rewarding would be one way to put it, I think. But just the knowledge that Lee has been it's been unbelievable, really. And I know that's probably kind of a contradictory thing to say, but he's just the guy's unbelievable at his craft. He does a lot of stuff that I'd never seen before, and he's just he's a racer at heart. The guy he loves it, eats, sleeps, and breathes it. Every day of the week into the night hours, and it's been really cool getting to work with him and learning a lot. That's probably the biggest thing is I've learned a lot in a very short amount of time, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Now, have you guys been to the track to test yet?
We have.
Yeah, how did the test go?
It went pretty good. We had went to Southern National before a lot of cars that got on the racetrack. We went kind of before the last big spell of rain came in, before a lot of people started getting on it last week. So put it this way, I ran the Thanksgiving Classic. It was a completely different racetrack. Had lost all the grip.
That's very,
very slick. And then also to save a little bit of money, we bought tires from the racetrack that had been sitting since the Thanksgiving Classic, so we were dealing with a little bit there, but trying to save all we can. They're just really wanted to get on the racetrack and work together and get that out of the way and be able to get the kinks and stuff worked out.
Got you. What's your expectations? I mean, obviously, you move from Nelson to Lee Pulliam. Obviously, you got to be making that move in order to want to go get better, compete for the championship. So, what's the expectation?
That's why I was going to add to that. A lot of people's asked me. I mean, you don't have to answer it or whatever. Why did this move happen? Because everybody was saying, "Well, you had a great team there."
Yeah, for sure. Again. Have all the respect in the world for everybody at Nelson Motorsports and everybody associated with that organization. I'm very appreciative for the 3 good years that they gave me. But for me, when the opportunity presented itself to go and join Lee, for me and where I want to take my career and where I feel like I want to be at with my career, it was an opportunity that was, too good to pass up. And I think for anybody that understands racing would be able to understand that and look at it just from a logistical standpoint. Being the primary focus over there and being able to have him on top of the box, basically, driver coach, crew chief, mentor, it's a complete package. So, and I hit that whole camp along with mine, feel like, we can accomplish a lot of great things together this year. And so that was the reason for the move. It was just way too good of an opportunity to pass up when it presented itself, because I don't think opportunities like that present themselves every day.
Fair enough.
So what are the things that you anticipate accomplishing this season?
First and foremost, for 2019, it's Brandon Pierce as a driver again, as we kind of getting better. I want to up last year and continue to progress. We strongly as a Lee Pulliam Performance as an organization, feel like that we can contend for the championship, and that's what we have all the hopes and ambitions of being able to do. And really and truly for me, it's just trying to build that momentum, and run top 5 every week. I think when you can do that, the wins are going to come, and winning takes care of everything. So the points will take care of themselves with the wins, and just got to finish races. Can't have too many bad finishes. Those were kind of my Achilles heel. A few of those last year, I would have finished higher up in the points than what I did if it wasn't for I fell out at Ace, and then Hickory's just been my Achilles heel. So. Last year was the first time I got to go there, so that's definitely somewhere I've circled on the calendar this year for me as a driver to be better, and try to not give up so much as far as from a point standpoint at that racetrack.
Tell me something I think a lot of people are interested in is, what role do you play on a weekly basis? I can hear in your cadence from your interviews that you're a Lee Pulliam Performance guy. I think you guys have a lot of the same mannerism, a lot of the same outlook on the way things go. How much of a role does that play for you being around the shop, being around him, being around? How often does that happen? What is your role as a driver for Lee Pulliam's deal? What are you expected to do?
Yeah, so one of the things when the deal first come about was me. Sitting down with Lee and us coming to an agreement that we were going to work very closely together, and that he was also going to teach me how to work on the race cars. For people that don't know, I work a full-time job during the week. I work for a granite company in Kernersville, North Carolina, that's also very supportive of me with my racing. I'm Monty Marble, Granite, and Tile. And so it takes up a lot of my time. However, I but I'm granted from my employer a day a week to go up, being that he supports my racing, to go up to the shop. That's and spend
awesome.
A day.
That is awesome.
And so far with my short tenure at Lee, a lot of that has been more than one day a week. So it's been at nights or going up on the weekend. Right. Trying to do as much as I can to fully take 110% advantage of the opportunity I'm being presented to make the most of it. So when I'm up there, I'm not only working on my cars. I'm working on the other customers' cars that are running out of Lee's shop this year, and just learning in any way that I can. If it's not on mine, there's still something I can learn. Working on another car or putting in a rear end or whatever. It's not all about me. I'm also about the organization and just wanting to get better all around. You
just ruined like most people's perception of you. Because I've heard this multiple
great.
times.
Right,
He's just some old rich kid.
Yep.
He's running that car, and he'll be
why-
gone in a few years. And here you are, you talking about your full-time job, and I mean that's you probably just made a lot of fans.
right.
And another thing too, I'm not ashamed to say it. When I tear these cars up, I pay to fix them.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, being that it was because I'm not afraid to say it. I'm learning how to fix them, so I haven't necessarily been able to fix them.
Right.
But, physically fix them. But when I wreck them, I got to pay to fix them outright. Whatever that bill is, I pay to fix it. So, it hurts. These cars are expensive. And I know
Yeah.
And so, I have a lot of emotion, and I've tried to get better with that. But when it's 5 to go and somebody doors you for 10th, and you fence it. It costs money, and it's very frustrating because what that just did to the wallet for the next week or for whatever, your budget is for that year. So, that's the thing, I know some people probably think I'm sitting at home, or on iRacing all week long.
Right.
That's cool and all. But,
Right.
but no, I've got a full-time job, and, part of my agreement with that is that still, even that day, I make up that 8-10 hour work day throughout staying at night or coming in early or whatever to make up for that day that I'm going to be at the shop.
That guy has the coolest commercials too.
Yeah, yes, he does. Yes.
Yeah, I've never seen one, so I don't know.
Yeah, Corey lives in Cape Vegas too, so.
See, they're over having that, personal conversation.
They do it all the
Don't
time.
include anybody else.
Right.
Chiming in on the chat board here, Matt Cheatham wants to know if you plan on running the Triple Crown races.
I will. So we're going to run the 11 car store races, and I'm scheduled to run definitely 15 races this year with the option to run more. I'm going to, as I said, run the 11 car store. I'm going to run the Triple Crown, and then we're going to run a race somewhere else. We haven't fully decided yet where, but maybe a local Sobo show, Motor Mile. We haven't decided yet, but I will run for the Triple Crown and the car store championship.
Gotcha. This season, what do you think, going on the car store, you was talking, Greg Moore talking about, nobody's going to dominate. So obviously you don't expect to dominate. I don't think any driver expects to go on that tour and dominate. What do you think is a legitimate, expectation for you going into this season, your second full-time season on the cars tour? You run exceptionally good last year. You're moving over with a guy who ran exceptionally good last year. So, what is a, realistic expectation for you?
Like I said, I would be lying to all of you if I said any different. The biggest thing too, and one of the big importance of the move is the Cars Tour Championship.
Right.
I don't think that's out of reach to say. To some, it may seem, but all of us, you go to the racetrack to win. You don't go to run second. You go to win. So, definitely a top 5 in points. And like I said, just trying to be competitive every single week and get those top 5s, top 3s, and wins. To Roger's point, I don't necessarily think I would say that Josh is a dark horse as far as with it, but
he's going to win 10 races.
One thing that I was going to say, Deke, I think obviously will be very tough everywhere, but especially this weekend, Orange County, and Josh. I think everybody saw the momentum that they really kicked up towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
If they come in with that this year, which I think everybody has every ambition that they will,
right,
they'll be very tough to handle too. And I think it's easily 10, 12, maybe more guys, depending on who shows up that weekend, that can win at every Cars Tour event this year.
I think Justin Carroll's going to be really good this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another name to add into the mix for sure. What, as far as tracks goes, what's your the track that you're most looking forward to going and racing at, and what are your favorite 2 or 3 tracks?
I would say for me, it was one that I kind of wasn't super thrilled about going to last year. Just because I had never ran there, and then actually ended up running really well. Had some bad luck, unfortunately, but Langley Speedway was not something I was really all that looking forward to, and had a very good car that day. Unfortunately, had a mishap with a teammate, and it took us both out of contention. But for anybody that was able to actually see that race, I was 2 laps down and couldn't ever get a lap back, but I actually drove up through the field 3 different times that day. So we had a very competitive car. So really it was excited to see that the Cars Tour was going there this year. I would say as far as my favorite racetracks, I would have to say it would be South Boston, which is probably not a surprise, but I really enjoy Orange County. I've only been twice, but really enjoy it, and of course some of it would be as well as I have ran there. But I like that it's a momentum racetrack. I've kind of always felt like I'm a momentum driver. I try to go for consistency, and so I've kind of always felt like that Orange County kind of fit my mold as a driver for how you have to drive that place to be competitive and to be able to run up front. So and also, kind of going back on it, I think how I ran at Langley and dealing with the adversity there made me better going to Martinsville this year. They're both flat tracks. They're different, but they're both flat tracks, and I think it helped me come time for Martinsville last year.
Oh, I'm sure it did, no doubt. Slim Wilson chiming in wanted to know what the Triple Crown is. It's 3 races, South Boston, Langley, and Martinsville, and I believe it's $10,000, I believe they paid for the championship for that. So it's just a 3-race deal to incentivize guys to run more. You good? Okay. I thought you wanted to say something over here, Roger.
No, I'm good.
All right. Another got a question on here for Corey. Okay. Todd or Penny Ellington, I want to know: do you have a job? I'm just asking the question on here, man.
Who is that's a fake made up name? Who is that?
I don't know.
It's probably Troy McCarty or something.
Oh man.
What do you
every day, yeah.
What do you see that's going to be the key, in your opinion, to consistent success with Lee? Lee's been super dominant as a driver, but and he's had good rental car stuff. I'm not going to talk badly about it because that's not what I'm meaning to do. But I think many people I have thought that would get in his car that would run better than they did. I thought guys like, and I'm not talking anything away from anybody, but what do you think is different this time with the relationship that you have with him? Do you think that's the connection that makes you tick? You know what I mean? We can't. Anybody's foolish if they believe that they're saying he doesn't know what he's doing and he doesn't know how to set up a car. Well, that's not true, right? So, what makes the difference this year, where you guys go off and crank off 10, 15, you know what I mean, national championship, whatever, Cars Tour championship, whatever. What makes the difference?
So I think for me personally, it kind of goes back to being involved. I think wanting to be involved, being up at the shop, not just the first time the guys see me that week is being at the racetrack,
Sure.
Or whatever, wanting to be involved, seeing what's going on with the cars, seeing what we're doing, what we're changing, being able to build that chemistry and bond together, and keep the momentum going. I can personally say that I know, and I don't think he would have an issue with me saying it. You've got to have that want to be involved. Lee had told me that prior to me coming up there, except for 1 or 2 other drivers, it was the first time a driver had come to the shop.
Wow.
That a lot of times.
I bet you that's true, 100%. I would take that 100% true.
Yeah. And so for me, that I was shocked. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, I was like, this is a joke. And he's like, no, I'm dead serious. A lot of times I see my drivers the first time is at the racetrack. And he wasn't saying that necessarily in a bad way. He was just like, I appreciate that you're wanting to be involved and you're wanting to be up here.
Yeah.
For me, just with the money that this stuff costs nowadays, I don't see how you couldn't want to be involved. I wouldn't be able to just show up at the racetrack and be like, okay, all right, we had a bad night. What's next week? I just can't do that. So
you're talking about fixing cars. I'd like to know what the hell I'm fixing.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, that's what I think is going to help us click, and then also too, kind of going back to what Roger had mentioned earlier, I feel like we're very similar with our outlook on things. I really try to take care of my equipment. Very rarely do you ever see Lee Pulliam tear up anything. And I think a lot of that just has to do with his outlook on knowing you can't, if you're, and that is one thing that I will compliment that I took away from my time in Nelson Motorsports, was one thing that David Triplett and Timothy Peters taught me. When they're up on jack stands, and you can work on them, then you can make speed. When they're on the plate or they're at the chassis shop and they're getting fixed, you're not making speed. And that was very true. It was something that I started, I really took to heart, especially last year. You can definitely see, I think, that you can build off of runs when that car's not going to your chassis bloater that week, or when it's not getting, a whole back half put on it, or whatever the case, or getting clipped, of course. Right. So, I think for me, it's going to be staying involved, and I think obviously, we're trying to build chemistry in a very short turnaround, and I think we've come a long way already, and we're excited to kick it off this weekend.
Right. Going into this weekend, Southern National, have you had much success there in the past? Have you raced there? I can't remember you racing
there. So I did run there. I ran the Classic.
That's right.
But outside of that, I didn't. I had not raced there prior. The first time I'd seen Southern National in person and been on the track was leading up to the Classic. So I like it, though. I like the banking. I wish it was kind of a multi-groove racetrack. Obviously, I think I was able to get experience with that at the Classic. If you get up on the high side, it's not impossible to pass, but you don't normally see a lot of guys making passes on the high side there. You kind of see them, okay, right. Where am I going to get in line here? How many spots am I going to lose? So excited to get back down there. One thing, though, too, that I want to touch back on about what Roger was saying with the rental, I think Lee's program, not that it was ever bad, and I know that's not what you were saying.
No,
but,
for sure not.
Look at what Corey Heim's done.
Kid's
been on fire.
Yeah.
It really has been, and I'll get to have him as a teammate for the Orange County race this year, and looking forward to that. And obviously he just come up short again at Myrtle Beach and had another good run going down there, and I got knocked out early in the 400 last year, and so I did, went and stood in the corner and watched the remaining 170 whatever laps it was, and I mean the drive that he put on that second half was unbelievable. So, and of course, I think a lot of that has to do with how Lee was able to basically dominate. Well, not basically, did dominate Myrtle Beach for his last national championship. So, Lee's cars are really, really strong right now. Not that they ever weren't, but really, really strong right now. And I'm really honored and blessed and privileged to be able to drive it, and looking forward to having fast cars all year long.
What are your goals beyond this year? I mean, in racing, do you have any certain level you're trying to get to? Or are you content being a late model stock guy, or what do you want?
So and it probably doesn't come surprise. I get asked that a lot, and so for me. Again, racing's very expensive. That's not a secret to anybody. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're your local Saturday night racer. I don't care if you're running the tour. Whatever you're doing. I'm very blessed to have a lot of great sponsors, which I'm definitely gonna make sure I get plugged in there to be able to do what I'm able to do. But for me, as far as moving up, I would be lying to you, just like any other driver. If the opportunity present itself, I'd love to. But it would have to be, of course, equal or a better opportunity, and where I'm not funding it just because it just costs, all of it costs
right.
So much nowadays. So for me, I guess to fully answer that question, I want to race as long as I possibly can, and so I am perfectly content if that's performing at a high level and racing at a high level in late model stocks in the Cars Tour, in the weekly division, then that's what I'm going to do. I think right now the Cars Tour is the best thing going for late model stock racing.
Absolutely.
One thing that I wanted to make sure that I added to what Roger and you were talking about, right before I got on here about Jack. I've watched that man personally sit there and greet every single individual that walks across the racetrack every single week at every race.
That matters a lot.
It really does. It makes you feel wanted. It makes you feel that you're appreciated to be there and that they want you there. And it's just a good feeling to have. So I've really enjoyed, and of course was picked to be a member of the Tour in 12 again this year. That was very fun and helped out a lot last year with the incentive program. Discount on tires and stuff like that. There are a lot of places we go to, you got to use a lot of tires, and so that couple $100 that you get discounted, it makes a difference. It pays for something else. So. For me, it's just trying to be in racing as long as I can, and I would love one day to be knowledgeable enough to give back. So for me, you know, I'm 23 years old. And I want to be in the sport as long as I can. I've always had a dying passion for it. You know, my grandfather owned a Goodies Dash Series team and was a part of it with another late model competitor. The Wilson family, Ryan Wilson, was with his grandfather, Dean Wilson. David Wilson. His dad is Dean. And so, you know, then my dad ran legend cars and fooled around with sprint cars. So I've always had racing in my blood. And so just been, you know, really honored and blessed to be able to race and want to be able to do it as long as I can.
Yeah, I didn't know about any of that background there. That was very interesting. Debbie Bowen wants to know, what tracks are you not looking forward to going to this year?
I have no shame in saying it. Hickory Motor Speedway.
Yeah. Hickory. I didn't want to cut you to the chase there, but I was going to help. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, like, you know, so of course you go there twice. So first race there was just terrible, absolutely horrible. I think I qualified 18th and I ran like 19th to 21st all night. It was horrible. Knocked the nose off of it. It was terrible. Go back for the throwback race. Qualified 4th. Run up front all night. Thought I was being easy on it. Lap 70, it's like dropping anchor. Right rear's gone. And I'm like, you know, and all I had done is run the pace that Josh and Deke and Lane, we were all running right there nose to tail, and it was.
You thought.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
And we went back green, and there goes Timothy, and there goes Bobby, and then before you know it, I'm on the outside, and I'm back to 16th, 17th.
Hanging on.
Yeah. It's terrible, and I don't know what it is about it. It's very unique, and I appreciate it. You know, of course, me being a young driver, you know, you read about Hickory and see everything about it, and so, you know, I was the first time we went, I was jacked up. I'm like, yes, it's Hickory, and that night we left, I'm like, I don't care to ever come back. You know,
and that was Hickory. Yeah. Damn.
Now, have you and Lee talked about Hickory and what you can do to get better?
You know, we have, and because, as I'm sure if you guys thought, it's not been his best racetrack either.
He's not raced there very much at all.
He's not a huge fan of it either, but he's always, you know, in his typical, you know, found a way.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say he finds a way no matter what.
He found a way to get a top 5, I believe, in the first race last year.
He did. So, you know, we definitely have, and like I said, it's been one ever since the throwback race. I definitely went ahead last year and circled the 2 on the calendar for this year that, hey, bud, you're going to have to be better at these 2 because they're important too, and because, you know, the car counts for both of those races is always big, and of course the prestige with the throwback race, and you know, you just it's kind of like, I don't know, I guess in a way, what little I have ran Myrtle Beach, you kind of got to race it that way, but not as abrasive, of course, with the tire wear.
Yeah.
But it's just like for me, it's you never really know when to go. And then for me, like at the throwback race, I didn't think I had went, and I had burned it slap up. So it's
but that's just time, bud.
Yeah.
That's 100%. You got the best guy sitting up there telling you he was the master at it, right?
Yeah.
Like he calculatedly played races for the last 15 years, beating people mentally. You know what I mean? You got the best guy teaching you, I think.
Right, for sure. I guess that eliminates Slim Wilson's question about how much racing you've done at Hickory, which I guess would just be those 2 races.
Yes, that's correct. Those 2 at Hickory. I've never been to Dominion, so you know we got that coming up on the schedule this year. I've never been there, and I think that's going to be the only track that I've not raced at least one time that's on the schedule.
There's a lot of them that's not raced Dominion though.
Yeah, for sure.
And I wasn't a huge fan of Kingsport. Just personal.
Nobody that goes there that's an outsider is.
So I guess for me it was, you know, I went out for practice. There was a storm moving in, and so the guys, you know, I'd never been there. So
there's
we went out
always a
storm
at Kingsport, right? Like at Kingsport, there's always a storm moving in.
What was your first impression as soon as you walked in the racetrack?
Well, so actually, kind of going back on earlier, so talking about Charlie Watson. Your GPS there, I guess, depending on which way you come in, it brought us in the backside up of the hill.
Oh, wow! I've never been in that way.
I haven't either.
Charlie's pulling his stacker trailer, and I'm like, "There's no way that this truck trailer's going down this tiny hill."
He lives in the hills, son. He's a wheel.
And so, you know, my dad and I were following him down in there, and Dad looks off to the right, and he's like, "Oh my God!" I mean, it's it's a cliff, and I'm like, "This is insane." And then we're like, "Well, how do we get down there?" And so, you know, you got to go all the way down, back out, and get in. So when we pulled in, I'm like, they're not kidding when they call this place the concrete jungle, you know? And I'm like, then my first lap out on the racetrack, dive off in the corner and hit the bump in 1 and 2, and I'm like, this is terrible. this is just
First
awful.
I went there, I said, everybody going in turn one's going to die. We're all just going to die going in turn one.
Right.
Corey thinks he's going to die because the cars are coming right at him.
Yeah.
So, for me, that was just it. But I'll tell you what, it didn't race terrible, but you're all night long. You're on top of each other all night long.
That's what's fun.
Yeah, and so, but I guess maybe take the bump away in 1 and 2, and I'd have loved it because I guess it just every time, and it didn't seem to matter like how I missed it, because if you try to miss it, you just miss the corner.
Hey,
yeah.
So
you don't have to stay on the racetrack all the way there though anymore, right? Like for a little while, wasn't that the deal where you had to stay?
The UAR made you do that,
they had to stay up on that concrete.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you watch, of course, Lane, won that race that night. But, so for me, I went down in the corner. The very first thing I did that weekend was watch Krez.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
he's good
just
there.
like watching him, and I'm like, how is
how's he doing this? Yeah.
It's like, where he's, lift point, where he's getting back on the gas. And I'm like,
right.
Obviously he's free, just driving the heck out of it. But I'm like, he's doing it every lap. And, I mean, obviously, I think everybody was a little surprised that Lane was able to outduel him that night. But, I thought it was kind of cool, because everybody knows how dominant that Krez is there, So it was an interesting weekend to say the least, and I wasn't too heartbroken. Nothing against the racetrack, but that it wasn't on the schedule this year.
I think a lot of racers in the car store felt that way. I've got to wrap it up with you, but tell us, you get a sponsor plug in?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, so got to give a huge shout out to Fremont Properties. Again, Monzi Marble, Granite and Tile, Discount Oil Company. Want to got Mincy Graphics coming on board this year as well, not only wrapping my cars, but being a supporter. Bondurant Brothers Distillery, Thunder Road Harley Davidson, Grand Atlantic Hotel and Resort, and Kowalski Racing Engines. So just really excited about my future with Lee Pulliam Performance as a whole, and really excited to go and contend for the Car Store Championship this year.
Well, we're going to turn you loose here. We appreciate you coming on and coming down here. I know it was a little bit of a ride for you down here.
It wasn't too bad. It's only about an hour, so it's not too bad from Oak Ridge. So, like I said, I work in Kernersville and live in Oak Ridge, so just really appreciate y'all having me down. Be more than welcome to come back anytime.
Yeah, man. We'll have to definitely get you on another time.
Thank you, guys.
All right. We're going to get the Mouth of the South over here in a few minutes. Get Tony Stevens on here to tell us about the world of streaming.
I've heard him called a lot of names, but I don't know that was it.
Well, I mean, have you ever listened to him? I mean,
yeah, I have.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Guy's a legend. How have you not listened to him?
That he is the Mouth of the South.
Right.
My ears bleed every time I listen to him.
Live looking.
I tell him that too. He doesn't find me to be all that funny. So
my ears bleed when I listen to you too. It's okay.
Wow. Well, you don't have to listen to me though. Yeah, thank you.
You made me put on this headset. I have to.
Well, now you do. Now you have to listen to me.
Corey got up and left.
Yeah,
Corey's like, I'm out.
Corey said, Tony's on audio, so I got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, that's usually how that works.
Yeah. I mean, left his jacket, but whatever.
Oh, Doc's gonna get on and make some sweet sweet love.
Oh yeah, I need to get some of this Tony Stevens action here.
Oh boy.
What you need?
These two are banging mics.
Right.
I'm not really sure what's going on.
Bell housing bumping going on here.
This is what happens when you get down to the end of the show and you're about to go over.
And there's been no beer.
And you bring in the scrubs for your guests.
Well, I mean, we had such an all-star lineup. We had to bring in somebody to kind of bring it back down to
performance.
Earth. You know what I mean?
It's like IMSA. You got a BOP. You got to maintain. I understand.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Tony is the voice of the Cars Tour. Well, I would say he's the face, but I don't want to put that on them.
Let's not go there, shall we? Bingo, right?
Also, the proprietor of Pit Row TV, which does the production for CarsTour.tv. Yep. I don't get all that crap.
We've got too many brands for you to keep track of.
Well, too many .tvs and all kinds of stuff for me. So, it's just one of those things. But tell us about streaming, and you've been one of the guys at the forefront of this thing. Bringing pay-per-view events, to everybody across the country. I guess across the globe. I guess that's how it works. But
quite literally, our event last weekend had people from middle of Canada and even Germany watching.
Wow.
It was pretty wild.
Well, tell us about that and how you got started on it and all that.
That's a pretty open-ended statement.
I mean, just talk. I mean, you're good at that.
Well, we know that. The question is getting me to shut up. Long story short, screwed around with that stuff for years. Time I was in high school and so on and so forth. And probably about, 2019? So I would say, I don't know, really started getting into different things probably about the time I exited high school. That's when I first started picking up microphones. One thing led to another. Picked up video cameras, screwed with all that. Worked for some guys doing some stuff, I don't know, 2010, 11, 12-ish. Ultimately picked up everything I need to know. I have relationships here that they didn't have and didn't have an interest in pursuing. And so we went down that road, and here we are.
Right, and you go all over the place, man. I mean, it's not just the car store stuff, and it's not just stuff around here. I mean, you're at demolition derbies, different places. I mean, and all kinds of events. I mean, it's just amazing.
I'm in all over the place, and some of those deals, it's one of those things of, I don't know why people want to do it, but I don't care. As long as the check clears, I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? But, no, we do all kinds of stuff. We were at the Toilet Bowl Classic this past weekend over at Clarksville Speedway in Tennessee.
That's a hell of a name for a race.
Please tell us about this.
Yes.
Did you see the trophy?
You have piqued my interest.
You've not heard of this race?
No.
Okay, well, long story short, William Scoggin bought the racetrack 15 years ago. And he said, well, I'm going to name my race the Toilet Bowl Classic because I'm going in the crapper by owning the racetrack. And so it was born. And that's it. And they run late models, modifieds. It's become a pretty prestigious event for the Midwest to start the year off. Yeah, some pretty big names show up. And
you get a toilet bowl for a trophy.
You literally get a toilet bowl, a full toilet, wrapped, graphic package, the whole deal for your trophy. Friday night's plunger night, and you get a plunger and toilet paper as part of your trophy package.
And where is this at?
Clarksville, Tennessee.
I've got to go to this.
Next year, come on.
I just want to see what's going on here.
But no, we do that. We do. I've got an agreement with Gary Crooks and Jason Enders. We do the grip seminars. They even have their own website, gripseminars.tv. I know you got a lot of tech people on here.
Right.
So Roger's talked about all the tech stuff and whatever. So I owe them a plug to be like, if you want to learn some of that stuff, you go there, gripseminars.tv. But we've got the Cars Tour package, Pit Road TV, which is kind of the catch-all. There's some other stuff we do that on some domains that I haven't made public yet that we're working on. We do all the production for legendsnation.com and TV, which includes the summer shootout for cable TV plus the streaming. I mean, all told, we're on pace for between 100 and 120 event days alone this year.
Yeah, I remember when you started this, and you was like, I don't know. You just kind of hope for the best, and it's done pretty good for you, man.
It's I'm no longer eating ramen, I'll put it to you that way. We're not eating steaks every night, although my Canadian friend who came out to help us in Florida and whatnot, he's like, you got to take me to the Outback. I need a Kevin Harvick, free bloomin' onion, so at least tonight we're having steaks.
Y'all was in Florida for like a month, wasn't you?
2.5 weeks. 2.5 weeks.
While.
Yep. We did our own show for Legend Cars, and we subcontracted our stuff to low-budget TV out of California because, well, they're from California. They want to make a 3-day trip out with all their stuff. So they said, hey, can you help us out? Sure, it's going to cost you this much. Great, wonderful. Show up, do the show. Everybody's happy.
You even took your son, Andy Marquis, down there with you.
That was not my call.
Mike Neff was with him too, wasn't he?
Oh, my Lord. Grandpa Neff was with them. Did you see the picture of them together?
That whole crowd.
Mike looked like he was 84 years old, and the rest of them were like 12.
Well, at least somebody called me young. That's good.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Tell us about it. Tell us, how does it work? You know, like we see a lot of clips on, and we see a lot of different things, but tell us how people get to you. Tell us about what things cost, what things don't cost. You know, I think that's a big point of entry to a lot of people that they think, oh, man, this costs me so much money. I'm not going to be able to see it. You know, tell us how your product works, how they can see what they can see.
Me, Corey, told him a million times, I'm not paying that. Tell me why I should pay that.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, kind of in a way.
Well, and in all honesty, it's one of those deals for
your
years.
Business model here.
And I'll back up. I'll kind of educate. Some of you may know, and I know a lot of the fan base probably doesn't know. Everybody for years has screamed, well, the NASCAR stuff on TV is quote-unquote free.
Right.
Sure, when you get that $120 bill from Comcast or Spectrum or whoever every month, you're paying for that. So the way those deals work is they have, and ESPN is the worst and best example because they have the highest numbers, but the numbers add up. So at one point, ESPN cost you $5 of your cable bill every month, whether you watched it or not. And it used to be there were about, I think, 100 million subscribers to 100 million subscribers to ESPN. Just the one channel, not the others, just one channel. The others have their own numbers. So if you do $5 per subscriber for 100 million subscribers, how much money is that per month?
It's pretty much.
That's $500 million a month. So I'm getting ready to really tick some people off right now. But if you do that over 12 months, that's $6 billion they bring in subscription revenue. So it's not free by any means.
Right.
The problem, what they do, they use the law of number, basically they have a numbers game they play. They know that 10% of that subscriber base is actually going to watch. So the other 90% is paying for the other 10% to watch.
Right.
Put it all together, boom, it ends up being basically the same as what our stuff is, which is for Cars Tour, it's $20 a month. And you get anything that's on the platform as far as the live events, the on-demand races from the Cars Tour, any of the other cool stuff we happen to do. Last year we even put a bonus race on there in the form of Ace Speedway and the Rodney Cook Classic. Who knows, we might do some more of those this year. We've got some things we're working on and whatnot. But essentially just pay your monthly fee. It hits your car just like Netflix does. Boom, done.
You used to have a Roku thing.
We still do, actually.
Yeah, it's on my TV.
We a couple years ago, Chris wanted, he's like, I got to have a Roku. It's like, well, we're working on one with the live. Got to have it now. Got to have it now.
You just updated it.
Well, we can make this, but why don't you wait? Nope, I don't want to wait. Okay, so we made one that had all the on-demand, well, I shouldn't say all, but mostly on-demand type interviews, race highlights. Now we have a live Roku app, channel, whatever you want to call it. Roku, for them to list it in their channel store, however, they want like 30% off the top, which for a small guy like me, that's a lot of money.
Well, explain 30% off the top of what?
So you have to use their payment system and all this other stuff, and they want 30% of that revenue right off the top. So in the case of a $20 a month deal, they're taking $6, and that's a lot of money for us to get. I got to pay my guys, pay all this other stuff. I mean, that's a big hit. So you go to our website, and there's a link on the menu for Roku. You can download and install the Roku that way. And it works completely the same as any other channel. You just have a different way to install it. So if you go to carstour.tv, you can install the Roku channel there. And right on your Roku, you can watch all the races live, on demand, you name it. Plus, our goal is to have our Fire Stick app out by the end of Q1, which gives us about 4 weeks to have that finished. The first test pilot, if you will, was submitted about a week and a half ago to go through their process. And ours will probably be one of the next ones to go in once it's approved.
Nice. So basically you found a loophole around...
well, it's not even a loophole. Roku tells you, yeah, you can do it this way. And a lot of churches and other organizations have done that.
People are listening right now going, that son of a God almighty.
Well, when people think you're making millions, of course, right. But the reality is, it's nowhere near that. It doesn't matter who you are, whether it's us, Dirt on Dirt, Speed 51, The Cushion, the Racing Boys. We're not making bazillions at this. Everybody's used to NASCAR numbers, but there's only a select few of those events that are making people big money. We're basically doing it because
What is big money? Everybody, big money is I'm not trying to be big money to two people or
to
different
you might
things.
be different than to me,
right?
Yeah.
And, what like honestly, I see you are working your butt off, right? Like Langley and I talk about you often. You're working your
some of it's good.
Yeah, some of it is good, and some of it's not, right?
Probably. You're probably right.
So the interesting part is, I think that you're bringing a big service to this deal, and I want people to understand how little it really makes for how much work it is. Does that make sense?
100%.
I think people think, oh man, he gets $20 a month from 400 people. He's living the dream. Oh, this is great. and I don't think they understand that there's $25,000 worth of production equipment.
Exactly.
There's 4 guys. Right. I'm staying on this.
A lot of work for a little bit of
100%.
It's kind of like being RACE22.
It's kind of like building chassis, right? It's the same. You get the meat scraps that are left on the bone. So
that's pretty much it.
The interesting part is, how are you working through that and trying to bring people content for as cheap as possible?
We try to do it by minimizing our production staff. I actually had this conversation with somebody the other day. I would love to have a Fox 30 camera set up with 5 million people. My ego, as far as, oh man, that'd be great, is wonderful. But the ego is the enemy of expenses, or expenses are the enemy of the ego, and vice versa. So we try to keep a minimal production staff to produce a good enough show. And by good enough, we generally have 2 to 3 man cameras. All the Cars Tour events this year are planning to have 3 total man cameras. I'll have a couple on the roof, 1 in the pits. I'll have a speed shot or something somewhere. It's kind of a cutaway and different things. So all told, like in our case, we've got, me included, we're going to have most events anywhere between 5 to 7 people at an event. And I've got to take care of those guys' travel, their food. I got to pay them to be there.
Business.
Yep. Exactly. So
whoa. They get paid?
Well, except for except for that kid of yours who's an intern. Who did pretty good in ACE, by the way.
Thank you.
You know there are child labor laws, right?
Again, he can be an intern.
Oh, he loved it. He loved it.
And he did a great job. And that's part of what we do, too, is we try to train people to help them. Because some of them, like in the case of Daniel over here, he wants to pursue that as a career. In a lot of places, it's like, all right, well, we'll bring you in and train you and help you with what we can do. But
You're just using them for free. Don't pull me.
Well, you know.
Trying to help the kid out.
Right. Yeah. I'm just trying to help the kid.
Right.
Every time my grandpa said he was helping me out, I got to work for 2 weeks. You
look back on it now, right?
I'm
Going,
like,
what?
But it did help you out, didn't it?
In the long run, it did.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So we have all those expenses, and those are just the stuff that's on top. It doesn't include any of the depreciation on the equipment.
Sure.
Doesn't include any of the bandwidth charges we have either at the facility as far as getting internet there to get it in and out. The bandwidth charges on the user end, because when they're watching stuff, we're having to pay for the bandwidth they're using to watch all that.
Right.
I've got a customer service team that takes care of all that stuff. There's credit card fees involved. So there's a lot of stuff on there that we have to take out, and it's, you know, I mean, you guys know me. We're not rolling up here in Mercedes Benzes by any means, so it's enough to make a meager living.
Was that
I
a
would
crack
say.
at Roger or what?
No,
I'm driving a van, dude.
Was that yours? I was going to ask you about that.
The black van.
That's a $50,000 van.
He wants that to be his next production van.
Well,
van is
I was sitting over
awesome,
here
huh?
looking at vehicles while I was waiting to come on. Like, I'm to that point now.
So he's rolling enough money that he's getting a new vehicle.
Yeah, it's
well,
hard to
the
hide
Focus
money.
reached 400,000 about a
You
month
still
ago.
got that thing?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Wow.
Yeah. Never intended on using it for what we used it for, but that thing has been a workforce for the last 12, 13 years now.
Yeah.
400,000 miles on a
Forever.
Ford Focus.
What's your plan next from here? Like you got all these things going. What's your plan next? Like what are you gonna do? You're not gonna just produce legend car races the rest of your life. I'm not dogging you for that.
No.
I'm just saying.
No.
What's your big picture deal? Like where are you trying to go?
I think I'm like a lot of people. I mean, you could say in this, you want to be able to own the deal, have your staff in place.
I don't want to anymore. I actually want to be the other way.
You just want to get rid of it, right?
No, it's not get rid of it. It's just like I think you can only get so big and own so many things and do. My problem is I do too many things, and then some things suffer. I don't do as many things well because I do too much crap.
Yep.
That's the honest truth.
No, and that's normal. I think even for my case, do too much stuff and certain things suffer. But I mean, I think I would like to grow it to where we are, and I think we're getting there. To where we're one of the ones you think of as far as if you want to watch events, this is who you come to. If you want to produce events, be it for streaming or for television or whatever, we're one of the guys you look at. And be able to bring people that content they want, connect them to their favorite race series or racer or whatever it is. And eventually I want to not have to be on the road for 100 to 120 event days a year and be able to train guys. And we've had people already come through, move up, and go do other things.
That's
be it
hard, right?
Because it's
whatever, hard to keep them, right? Like
I
run into
it
the
is.
same thing in here, right? You get guys and they work through the deal. They get to where they make good money, and now they're like, well, I'd like to go make really good money.
Right.
And you're like, okay, well, damn. I
nothing you
guess
can do about
I got to
that.
let you go make really good money. You know, I'd love to, but I can't unless I double the chassis price or I raise that. Like, I can't go to that, big number. So how do you continually get people then to do something?
That's the hard part.
Right? So this is a craft that not very many people know.
Yep.
And you're telling me because usually things that not very many people know pay way better. So how do you continue to build on that? Just friends or
it's friends, it's connections. You put feelers out different places. People have heard things, and sometimes I take risks on people simply from the sake of. I mean, you guys have all seen the show Baywatch, right? Maybe most of you, maybe. You're looking at me with blank stares.
That was like 40 years ago.
Okay, but this is a legit thing. So. If for those of you who don't know Baywatch, there's probably 3 of them watching, given the demographics. So, but anyway, sexy people.
Pamela Anderson was on there.
Yeah, sexy people in bathing suits running around a beach with some plot that nobody cares about.
Everybody knows Pamela Anderson.
Right.
Not from that, though.
Their casting philosophy was very, very simple. Their casting philosophy was this. Look, we can't make Pamela Anderson look hot, but we can teach her or attempt to teach her how to act.
Right.
Okay? So I follow that same principle, and I've told people this a million times. I can't teach a camera person to be a race fan, right? I can try, but there's nothing like that instinct gut race fan who knows what to look for, what's important,
Without a doubt.
what's going on. I can teach them how to work a camera. And that's basically how we do it. So we have people that say, man, that'd be cool. Well, how about you come give it a shot? We'll work you on this for some event. I mean, you're not going to go jump in the 30,000 Old North State Nationals, the first race out. That's not going to happen. Yeah. But we'll take you to Legend Car Race. We'll try different stuff. We'll work you in.
I mean, you took Andy, so, I mean, that says a lot there.
And
but I'll be honest with you. I was kind of scared.
I want to go do one.
I want
to go do one.
We'll work on that.
I was kind of scared with your Baywatch thing. I didn't know if you were planning on putting Tim Terry in a bikini or what, because that was not going to be a pretty sight.
So that's why you call me, because I'm dead sexy.
Oh my God!
Truth's out. Truth's out. Can I say?
I'm thinking that's a no.
I just threw up in my mouth. Wow. I just want everybody to know.
Since we've derailed
the last time we saw that, I think, was Concord about 5 years ago.
I just seen that picture the other day.
Wow. You're not know what we're referring to. Doc
that thing. Yeah,
Doc was Miss UARA for Halloween.
Oh, right. I forgot I did that. Yes, I did the whole race. And
you traumatized children. How did you forget that?
You did pit road.
Who was the Miss UARA at that time?
Brittany Poe, I think.
Brittany Poe.
Yeah.
And he dressed up as a penguin, did pit road the whole race dressed as a penguin.
Iceberg.
Yeah, I remember that.
The penguin mascot, Iceberg.
Yeah, that was one of Doc's finest moments there.
Finest.
It was great.
I was
wait a minute.
That's a stretch.
We talked about this. The finest was, we just talked about this at work the other day. Orange County Speedway.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. We're at practice, and they're practicing, and the stands are already half full, and the people above us were talking over Doc. And Doc thought the PA was off, and he looked at me and said some things. And then I look around, and everybody in the grandstand starts turning around and looking back up at the press box.
It's like...
And there was no cars on the track at this time.
When the motor came up later, too, about that.
When the
Yep.
When the word dropped... You could hear a pin drop. I heard it echo. That's how loud it was.
Well, I'm standing beside Doc, and I was like, wait a minute. I can hear you over here. Wait a minute. You're talking outside, too, dude. And everybody turned around and looked at him. Yeah.
Don't feel bad. We had one or two of those drop on a broadcast this weekend at Clarksville, and it was the race director. Oh, actually, I take that back. It wasn't the race director. It was the owner of the racetrack. He got on the racetrack. It was a brand new tour, brand new series, and went out there and said, I know I'm paraphrasing, but there's not going to be any expletive and cheating in my expletive and series. And I'm like, did I hear what I thought I heard? Camera guy keyed up on the comm and was like, well then. I was like, okay, so that's exactly what I thought I heard. So I had to tell Tim to grab the mic and apologize for that.
Mike Fulp calling a race.
Yeah, pretty much. But the guy said everybody on the front straightaway gave him a thumbs up, so they understood.
Yeah, there's that. Believe it or not, there's actually people chiming in on the chat to talk about you and to you.
Right.
And,
scary.
And all the ones so far about you that I've read.
They probably involve all kinds of bad accusations, most of which are probably true.
They've actually all been good. They all say you're really good at your job, which I don't know what the hell they've been listening to.
Or watching, for that matter.
Production-wise, I'll agree with them. But William Wagner wants to know if it's true that Chris is going to be selecting your wardrobe for this year.
Which Chris?
Chris, I'm assuming it's Regal for the car store races.
Well, there's a uniform I have to wear, so I guess technically he's right. But no, there's no. I'm not aware of anything wacky that's coming out yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's the hauler driver for Nelson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alex Miller chiming in says that he would love it if someone could get big enough in streaming to show every late model stock car race live.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. Let's talk about that real quick. I'm partially upset and happy about that question, and happy to be there. So, most racers know there's a certain place when you're in the same vein as the Ray Evernhams and the Dale Earnhardts and the Smokey Unics of the world, where you force certain people to change the rule book. Right? That's kind of an honor, right, Roger?
Yeah, I mean, like where you beat them, you mean?
You force that sanctioned body to change the rule book to outlaw your ideas.
You were talking about Jack earlier.
Yes, right. Yeah. Yes.
Well, we forced that sanctioned body to change the rules. We did Myrtle Beach.
Sanctioning body would be NASCAR.
Yeah, we did Myrtle Beach about 4 years ago. Their big end-of-year event, and the very next year. Because at that time, it was never covered in the sanction agreement or anything. And Steve and the folks at Myrtle Beach said, we'd love you if you come do this. So we came, we did it. Everybody got great feedback. Except for the sanctioning body, they weren't too happy about it. Well, the very next year in the sanction agreement now, you can't do that unless you have their written approval. So we would love to do every late model stock car race, but there's a lot of things involved, and most people don't realize all the issues.
So it's not fans' choice can do it or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
And the tracks can give it away.
I was just getting ready to say.
The way I understand it, correct.
They just cannot do pay-per-view.
Yes. Yeah. But there's a lot of things involved for any race, and to answer the question, it's not just we want to show up and do it.
They can't do pay-per-view because it's a NASCAR event?
Correct.
If it's a NASCAR sanctioned,
and to to go down that road in that off season, we called them up and said, all right, we get it. You guys kind of caught with your pants down on this. What can we do to make this viable? What can we do to offer you this? And the conversations we had just, unfortunately, I didn't get where we wanted them to get. But the conversation was started at the very least, and I think it's still floating around in offices down there. But there's so many things you have to get in line to continue to answer that question. You have to get the sanctioning body online if they have something around it, about it, that they want or don't want to happen. The tracks, the promoters. I mean, and the thing that most people don't even realize, we don't just show up and, I forgot this in the expense list. We have a give back we give, like to Cars Tour. I have an amount of money I have to give to the Cars Tour for the right to broadcast their race that goes right back into the series, the purses, the events, and so on and so forth. Right. So ultimately, as subscribers, you're giving back to the sport you love and helping to promote it and everything like that. But there's a lot of those factors that have to come into play. So it's not just, hey, we're going to show up and do this. There's a lot of I's to dot and T's to cross.
Slim Wilson said that Chris Regal should buy you a Cars Tour fire suit for the races. I don't think you want to be walking around in that.
What do you think from so let's just say you want to promote.
It wouldn't look good either.
You want to give it away yourself, right? I'm always promoting that give it away thing. Me and Langley have been talking about that a lot here in the last 5 weeks. You want to give it away. What is it? Not on a deal, not on a manipulated deal, but what is it? I think racetracks don't understand what it costs. Let's say that a racetrack, Langley and I have this hypothetical racetrack in wherever, and we want Tony Stevens to come do it, and we're going to give it away. So what does it cost for us to give it away?
To give it away, so to speak, there's a couple things depending on how you want to give it away.
And I know, listen, I know people are going to
generalize it.
Nick
I'm generalizing
and dime this to death, and it's not what I mean it for.
Yes.
But what I would like to do is bring some context to whether it costs $2,000 to do this or $5,000. Right. I mean, so I want to give racetracks that have we're working with smaller budgets than a Coca-Cola 600, like a Charlotte Motor Speedway. So I don't think they know. Do they know what it costs?
A lot of them don't.
I mean, before we started doing this right here, I could have told you nothing about what it costs to stream a TV show or a podcast or whatever, and now I understand that that's a pretty good cost that goes into it, and we're 4 guys doing it in a shop late at night. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And generally speaking, because we've had these things out to people who want to do a free view event or want to do just production and then send it off for TV or have us do TV, whatever. So it varies, and so there's really no hard number I can give you. It depends on the quality, but I mean, you're talking anywhere from the very simplest of production. You're talking $1,500, $2,000, truthfully,
per event.
To go up. I mean, depends on how much money we want to spend. We could easily spend $10,000 or $12,000.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the range, and obviously, law of averages, you're going to fall somewhere in the middle there, probably. But it's not cheap.
Does almost every racetrack have their own closed circuit type deal? I
wish.
But I know like Hickory, they have. And I'm not saying how great they are, right? We all know that there's. We've bought cameras here
Hickory
that were in different qualities, right? We Langley and I together have 5 or 6 cameras that are all of different qualities. So I understand, but do they have enough where they could actually you could come in maybe on the small side and then not have to spend $2,000 or $3,000 a deal where they're capturing the footage and you could come in and help them stream it out?
Well, and that's the platform that we work on. It's probably better known as the Hammer Motorsports Network. One of the brands, it's a catch-all, is like Race Feed X. The actual company's name is Rivet, RIIVET. And they were originally the company's out of Raleigh, and one of the principals just moved to California about a year or 2 ago, but his other partner's still in Raleigh. And that's part of what they do. It's like, okay, if you as a track or a series want to get on here, their job is to help you do that in the most cost-effective manner possible. And then if you need people or somebody to help you, to guide you to people that can help you do those things.
Yeah, but I think you're the guy for this, right? Like, we don't have a lot of people.
Sometimes I'm the guy they send.
Well, and I didn't mean that bad. I just mean you're the guy for this, in my opinion. We don't. I mean, name me anybody else that's doing it.
Well, appreciate
right? Well, it doesn't mean you're good. I'm just saying.
You're just the only guy doing it.
Right, you're just the only guy.
I'm the only poor
it.
schmuck dumb enough to try it.
Right. I mean, I didn't mean it that way. But it was good, though.
It was good.
Right.
That's not necessarily a false statement. I'm still a dumb schmuck.
For a while.
As the soundbite of the week.
Right. I just think that I think it could be a place where a lot of these places, Langley and I have even discussed different ways from the racetrack that racetracks could stream for free or be more cost effective to try to get their product out there, but there seems to be this one weird disconnect, and you're the only guy I know that might be able to have an answer. Langley has his own opinions, but I don't give a damn about his.
I don't either.
My thing is this. Every racetrack promoter that I talk to, because I've been a big proponent for years that they should give their races away, because I think more people care about watching a race at Hickory in Ohio or Kentucky, or care about watching a race in South Boston in Mooresville or Hickory.
You're right.
And I think the racetracks have it wrong. That's my own opinion. I'm not there
all
yet.
All the racetracks think that nobody's going to come.
Right. I'm not there yet, but I'm telling you, I'm going to prove
it.
this. I'm going to prove this model over the next 5 years. I don't know exactly how, but I'm going to have a racetrack, and I'm going to prove this model. That's my goal, my personal goal.
We can prove it. We have the numbers. We have the data, everything on the back side. And our biggest thing with this, and none of us will disagree with you, that free is going to reach more people than any sort of paid content.
But we understand. But hold on. Everybody sitting here, to a point, understands how social works. The problem is that's not the person we need to convince. Everybody that's sitting right here understands how social media works, how podcasts work, how, and if you don't, you quickly learn, because otherwise this group of people will make fun of you and berate you until you learn, right? So my biggest problem...
We make fun of you regardless.
I make fun of Doc all the time because of it.
Right. But my problem is, how do we bring that stuff more to the forefront? How do we get people informed as to what they can do, how they can give it away? Every promoter is scared to give it away, and I'm not saying that you have to give the trade secrets away. I'm not saying you have to do whatever. All I'm telling you is that my dad in Ohio would certainly love to watch a race online at Hickory Motor Speedway or at South Boston, and he's Joe Schmo, normal guy, right? He's not excessively into racing or anything like that. So more people care about these racetracks. Bowman Gray's big explosion came because they all of a sudden became a national brand instead of a small brand.
Yes.
And
yeah, that it was on CNN with Derek Stoltz dragging Mike Robertson around a racetrack on CNN.
And they gave it away. Right? They gave it away. And that's the thing that I can't figure out.
The biggest question is how do you pay for it? That's the question with everything. I don't care if it's a race car 100%. Or a cheeseburger. How do you pay for it? And with what we've tried to do, I'm on board with you. Like, there are people in Ohio and Canada and Germany and Australia that want to see this stuff, like this stuff. They're interested in it. But we can't. I can't afford to go to the racetrack and spend thousands of dollars just to give it away. So we try to do the best of the happy medium, which is we use the event and the subscription to basically fund us being able to pay guys to go there, and then we give away certain clips of content as freebies.
You're just
guys
talking
like
about
that.
the Cars Tour.
Well, all of our stuff, we try to do this to where we give away these different clips, be they interviews, be they other things we do generated from that are freebies to help generate interest and get people involved.
I'm going to say this is probably going to be a bold statement, and I'm going to catch hell for it like I usually do. But I'm going to tell you, I think if you're a racetrack and you don't get on the social train, or you don't get on the streaming and the podcasting and the whatever, you will not be a racetrack in 5 years.
You're 100% right.
Or you won't be the one running it.
You're 100% right.
And
I agree.
That's where when Langley said he wanted to have you on, I thought, man, this is perfect for the simple fact of...
That's not all he said.
I did right. But I want people also... I think there's a big niche here that another place that we can cross-collateralize this is I would like to see the racer who does his own social and does these ever. I know you're not their secretary, but you've acquired so much content that I would like to see him use you the correct way, right? Like, I'm not saying he's got to take $2,000, you got to pay big money, but how do these people that are getting free content produced for them to go to the racetrack, that you're recording all the Cars Tour races, how many people reached out to you this winter and said, hey, can you put me together a highlight reel because I would like to go give it to some people
and
get
count
sponsorship
on one hand in the last 2 years.
Exactly. And how many of them actually got money?
I'm pretty sure one of them did because he went K&N racing.
There you go. And see, this is my thing, right? I get so upset. These people go to the PRI show. Oh, we can't get nothing. You're not giving nothing. Everybody says they're going to do it, but they never do it.
Yep.
Interview some people at the PRI. Give it away, whatever.
Yep.
We got to figure out
and we've
a way.
had people call, and I've had people from other racetracks, racers, whatever, but it's still a very small number who say, hey, I would like to get, these clips,
free.
this clip. Yeah.
That's what I can't figure out, right? That's a free way. I hear every kid come in here and tell me, man, I can't find more money. I got to find more money.
You got to
It's not about the money. It's about it doesn't cost you money to call you and say, hey, man, would you have any good pictures of me getting spun out or flipped over or crashed or hooking somebody in the right rear or whatever? I'd like to try to take that 2 minutes of content you have for me and use it to promote myself.
Exactly. And our poll fees for that are not exorbitant.
Right. I
mean,
mean,
it's like, okay, you're going to spend like, and I've had people do it, and it's like, all right, if I spend three hours or whatever pulling video for you, I'm going to tell you, go to the on-demand site, tell me what clips you need, where it's from, to save yourself time and money.
Sure.
And then it's like, all right, I need this. Boom. A few hours later, a couple $100, you've got video to use for whatever you need. Depending on the licensing. If you're going to use a national commercial, it's different. But for your personal deal,
we're talking
go
about
for
the
it.
mom and pop's guy that wants to do his own deal, that doesn't know that they don't have a social media person, that they don't have video coverage. They don't. I mean, I think you could be a good asset to those things, and I want people to reach out
and we
to
want
you.
to be. We'd love to be. I mean, we're here to help people the best we can. It's part of why we do what we do. Is people need to be able to embrace this whole new content type generation we're in.
Do you store all your own races yourself?
What do you mean, like as far as hard drives and that type of thing?
No, I mean like you're backlogged of races. So
Mhm.
let's say you've done 400 races in the last 3 years. I don't know, whatever
the number is, right?
So what happens to all those races? Is there an archive to where people can go and look forever back at them? Or Corey will
We
be
have
watching?
like all of our stuff is available on demand within like the last 3 years or so.
On demand where?
On any other website. So carstore.tv, there's a tab that says past. You can go back and watch anything through like, I think midway 2015 we started archiving them for on demand. I still have all the records somewhere in a hard drive. I just haven't put them together.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is people that have access to your stuff, if I'm a member, which I do, I pay the $20 a month to watch the thing. How far does that let me go back? And if
As far as you want.
So if I'm just a general race
That we
fan,
have up there, yeah.
correct. That's what I mean. How far does it allow people for their $20? You can go back and watch a race from 2 years ago, a year ago, 3 years ago, Orange County, this crash, whatever.
Yep. Yeah, any stuff that's in the library is included. Whether you were a subscriber when it was done or not, it's all included.
Nice.
Yeah, so you've got full access to that. I know a lot of racers enjoy that.
Yeah, and that's where I was trying to go with it.
Yeah, because they can go back and watch how the race played out and different things. And they've said, hey, have you got this one? Because this one's not. Oh, yeah, we'll put that one up there. And we did. So, it's a valuable tool in a lot of aspects.
Yeah, I enjoy my free account. I guess we got to...
Let's go. Hold on. So you get into the car
Shut
store
up. Just sit over and shut up. Just shut up.
Man.
And
gets a free account.
All right, we got to wrap this up because Tim Terry is wanting some Outback, and they close at 10, I believe.
Kevin Harvick got a top 10, so he wants his bloomin' onion before he goes back to Canada tomorrow, yes.
Yeah.
Take off, eh?
So,
which, by the way, and plugs, if you like late model stuff around the country, he's part of the Pro Stock Parts for Trucks Pro Stock Tour in Atlantic, Canada. They start in like May and race through like June, I think.
Pretty much.
Then it snows.
Mosquito season.
Yeah, exactly. But he does similar type stuff for them that I do for the Cars Tour. So if you're into outside the country racing, certainly suggest checking it out. He's a good source for a lot of that stuff.
One last question for you. What anything new? I know you mentioned the Fire Stick thing app. Is there anything else that you have new in the works for this season that people that subscribe to the Cars Tour?
We're working on it.
Okay.
We tried a few things a few times. We tried something in Florida this past month.
Tell us what it is. If it didn't work, it didn't work. Who cares? If it worked, it worked.
It worked, but we got to tweak it.
You're the only guy doing it. It ain't like somebody's going to mysteriously pop up tonight and be like, "Hey, we're getting ready to do this."
Holy shit!
Tony
Stevens doing this. Let's do this. Let's do this.
He
now.
drove up in his 300,000-mile Toyota Corolla out here. We're taking his ass down, right?
Ford Focus, get it
same
right.
difference.
Give those folks some props. No, there's. I don't want to leave any of my secrets out there unless they're pretty much going to happen this weekend. But we're working on some things and that we're going to try to implement a couple times this year and see how they work out.
Nothing.
This is the suckiest
You got
show
nothing.
I've ever been on in my life.
All night tonight has been secrets.
Yeah, because I'll put it to you this way: it's one of those deals where it's just like a race. You work on it. You want to make sure it's right before you race it. You work on it. Let's not run it this week. Let's do it next week. So like last year, we brought out the Telestrator. Yeah, like last year we brought
after it.
We brought the Telestrator out last year. So that was like one of our things. We had last year as a free little toy. I can draw hats on Langley when we have the camera on him now.
Don't have the camera on me.
Yeah, exactly. So we have the
You
Telestrator.
had to get the wide lens out for that one.
Well, we bought one of those too. But there's some other things we're working on. Among other things, we're also trying to get more cable TV presence. So there's some things we're working on in that regard to try to make that happen.
How do you go about that?
talk to people.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, our production, as far as what we shoot with and how we do it, it's obviously, because you've seen it on the Speed Sport shows the last 2 years, it's cable ready, because that's what they built the show off of, was everything that we did.
Right.
So we work closely with them on that. Not to say, I mean, we might do 1 this year, we might do 5 I don't know. We're working on all those conversations to try to make that happen, because I think a lot of the racers really like it when they can go to somebody who's not, like your dad, for instance, who's not the hardcore fan that's going to be a subscriber, but they're casually, oh, look at the sports bar. It's, it's up there. That type of thing.
It's Saturday, and it's raining and wherever they're at, and they can't go to their own local race, and they would like to watch some Saturday night short track racing from somewhere.
Yep.
I mean, I think that's the one place that we're missing out a lot. I think we need to fall back on a lot of that history that we had, because people outside of this area still want to see that.
100% they do. I go back and I think to one of the things, and you guys can think about this however you want, but I remember back when it was a thing, when Pro Cup always had the Hooters Cup race on Thursday night, and they had a watch party at Hooters.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. I would like to see something like that for our deal. You know,
go to Kingsport.
Well, right.
We're getting ready to do it.
Go for it. But
we are. Boom.
Stuff like that, I
we
think
tell what we're doing here on RACE22 Radio. Yeah. How about that? We got nothing to hide. We're giving it away.
Sorry, there's my cards. You're not seeing them. But no, I think stuff like that's important, and those type of opportunities allow those things to happen to help generate more interest, and that cool factor where you can bring a friend and show somebody what's going on, and it kind of gives them that neat factor, and maybe they'd come to the racetrack, that type of thing too.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this segment with Tony. We're going to wrap this thing up after we're done. Appreciate you subjecting yourself to this tonight.
I knew what I was expecting.
Yeah, well, and it probably wasn't even as bad as you expected, huh?
I hope we got
worse.
Worse?
Really?
No, I'm kidding.
Damn, I would have thought it'd been way bad. Based on prior experience, I thought it would have been way bad.
Right. All right, we'll turn you loose and let y'all go get some Outback. Appreciate you being on.
Yes, appreciate you guys having me, as all. Anytime you want to have me, give me a shout. I'm just down the road. Be glad to come. Harass you or do something.
Dude, this was a one-time deal, man. This is a one-time shot.
Yeah, we got it. It's all right.
Well, in that case, let me grab the mic here. Let me see that more. But no, thank you guys. I'm sure I'll see you sometime soon. If not, I'll see you this weekend, right?
Well, you won't see me, but you'll see Corey.
Yeah.
So.
Well, whatever. I'll see one of y'all, and I'll throw things at him from the tower.
And you'll see your son, Andy. He'll be there. So.
I already saw him for a week in Florida. That was plenty.
You get to see him a little bit more.
That was plenty. So. He did tell me I need to smoke a bowl, however.
Wow.
The things that come out on RACE22
And segment 3
Radio.
just starts on RACE22 Radio.
Wait a minute. This is the after-hours show.
Wow.
Wait a minute. It's 9:30.
This stuff has derailed.
Shut your radio off if your children are awake. This is the NC-17
right.
version of
So,
RACE22 Radio.
Anybody that's met Andy knows Andy is a little... He needs a few less energy drinks in his life, right?
I like Andy.
I do too, but he needs a few less energy drinks in his life.
He's super smart.
So we had our staffing set out for Florida for the Legend Car Winter Nationals, and part of our plan to test some different things and try some different stuff, some equipment we had for that matter, was we were going to do a practice show on whatever that was, Sunday night. Well, with the rain and the Canyon race, so part of our staff ended up not there that we were planning on having. It's like, ooh, crap, what do we do? Andy, you're not really doing anything tonight. Tell you what, we're going to put you on the rover cam in the pits. So
he's probably good at that.
First time he'd ever had a camera in his life. I'm sending him out there with thousands of dollars on his shoulder going, please don't F it up.
He's a winner. He'll figure it out.
Right. So so we send him out there, and I've got communication to the guys all the time. So I'm guiding him through everything that's going on. Tim's back here trying to talk and listen to me yak at Andy at the same time, and he's probably about ready to hit me because he's got
he's
headphones
about ready
on
to
like
hit
this.
you now because he's trying to get to Outback.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Right. He just wants to go to Outback.
I'll tell this story. So anyway, at some point, I'm trying to coach Andy, and I get a little high-strung because I'm freaking out that he's all over the place.
You get a little high-strung?
Yeah, maybe just a tad. So we're trying to do all this.
Damn, I'm gonna smoke a ball.
Right. so wow. Anyway, there were a few times I got a little animated with Andy on the radio. Nothing abnormal for one of our shows, and certain people who work with me will tell you that I can probably be one of the hardest people to work for, but I try to at least make sure you know it's not personal before we even start, and do my best to take care of my guys too, for that matter. So. We get out there, and he does whatever. He comes back in the tower after I've told him and screamed at him a couple times and done whatever. It's like, dude, listen to me. Are you alive? Shake the camera. Do something. And finally he comes in, and he's all sweaty, and he's soaked, because of the humidity. He's sweating. He had to do some work and get out of the AC.
That's unusual for him.
Right. So he comes in, shuts the door. Man, you need to smoke a ball before you go on the air.
And it was about that loud.
It was about that loud. So
wow.
I was like, thanks, Andy. You do too. So That was
Performance Center does not condone this part of the show. I would like to be completely clear.
Wow. That being said, I personally can't even stand the smell of it or any of that stuff. So
go to pitroadtv.org.
Yeah, right. So, so yeah. So apparently
they're selling bandanas and incense on there now.
That being said, we did go get a drink later. We did go get a drink later, and that helped ease some of the pain. So
tie-dye out of a van, VW van, tie-dye.
On that note, I'm going to drop the mic and get out of here.
I'm going to Cartersville, North Carolina later, y'all.
Well, I guess me and Roger are going to wrap this thing up ourselves here. Caraway Speedway this Sunday. Got 3 races going on this weekend. So you got Hickory, you got the Cars Tour at Southern National, and you have Caraway on Sunday. I'm planning to, as of right now, I'm planning to go to Hickory and Caraway, and I guess Corey and Brandon and Andy and whoever the heck else is going will be at Southern National for the Cars Tour. So. Yeah, I doubt you will. I doubt you will
too.
I mean, I'm sure something's going to break on your vehicle because that just seems to be the norm.
4-wheeler time or something.
You're driving a minivan.
I'm driving a minivan too.
Awesome.
Mine is pretty cool.
Have I ever sent you a message and said, "Hey man, I can't make it because my car broke down"?
No.
But yours has 47 times in the last 6 months.
Half of Langley's car's laying out in my driveway.
Now that is true. That is true. Kim hit the curb and ripped the hole underneath of the car off.
We'll fix it here at Performance.
I mean, would you? Because I need it.
No, we won't.
For real. So, all right, we've run over a long way. So we're done. We're out of here, and Doc's going to take us home now.
And I want to say thanks for listening.
Well, that'll wrap up tonight's show. I want to thank everybody for listening to RACE22 Radio. Keep us logged on to race22.com for coverage of all your favorite late model stock car racing action, videos, podcasts, and much, much more. We'll be back broadcasting live around the globe next Monday at 6 p.m. from right here at Performance Center Racing Warehouse in beautiful Statesville, North Carolina. Until then, we'll see you at the races. RACE22 Radio is a presentation of RACE22 Productions.